that setting remains when you drop the item. So if you're running around with a handheld RF transmitter and it's set to a frequency and you die, then it will be able to do that. Now, there of course is an easy way to change that is you only set the frequency to what you want it to be when you want to use it, and then you could set it to a different frequency to avoid against that. But that is definitely something that you're going to have to take into account and keep in mind when running around with these new radio frequency devices. The frequencies are not protected in any way, just like, a walkie-talkie. You set to anywhere between 1 and 9,999, and anyone else can operate within those frequencies as well.
Looks like they altered the SAM sites pretty heavily. One hit and I died.
Okay, let's test that again to see how many hits, because I want to update that on the site. Last night when we were testing, it was like 20 hits, and it looks like if that has changed, and I want to get updated information on the site as soon as possible.
What are the performance changes today?
So the performance changes are almost too many to count. For the past several weeks, they've been working on performance changes both on the server end and on the client end. And that is in the realm of, we were seeing changes to triggers for turrets. We were seeing some garbage collection buffering. We're seeing a whole bunch of stuff, and I think the dev blog is probably, when it comes out, going to have a little more details on those performance improvements. And also on top of all that, we've got Unity had an update, and that has a whole bunch of optimizations included in that update as well. So the long and short is there's too many performance improvements to name, which is an awesome, awesome situation to be in, because I can't wait to see how everything is performing after this update. As always, with performance changes, it's pretty hard to test on an empty server by yourself. A lot of these, before we can really see the impact of them, they have to be live on a server with several hundred people on it. So that is something that we're very interested to see, and we're going to be keeping a close eye on after the update comes out. But the long and short is they've prioritized performance for players and for server owners in a way that should produce some pretty significant increases. The first one that I heard from Helk was that he was able to get a 30% increase on the server end, and other improvements have been made since then, including this Unity update. So I'm hoping that performance is notably better all the way around after this update goes live.
Can I also send an idea that you can pass on to the devs? Because I have one. Would be nice if you can kick the passenger in the back if you want him to go away.
I love that idea. I think that would be very rusty, and if you get a couple kicks in, maybe they fly out of the helicopter. No, I still not for nothing. Yeah, exactly. But I still not for nothing want to be able to punch people in the face. The dev team is called Face Punch. It seems like we should be able to walk around and punch people in the face. But yeah, being able to kick people out of the helicopter would be pretty cool as well.
Okay, so if you're two people in the minicopter, are you able to pick up loot from the airdrop, maybe?
That would be a pretty tight squeeze, I think.
I think
not
that would
going
be
to say
hard.
it's impossible. Yeah, because that drops pretty fast. And yeah, I'm not going to say it's impossible, because if you get within range, even if you're no clipping around and you get in range, you can very briefly see into that airdrop loot crate. But I'd say that's not very feasible in practicality, just from a standpoint of how fast that is falling and how the controls of the minicopter work and everything.
Will the minicopter be on normal servers too?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me ask Alistair. We confirmed that it is on Happus. But let me ask about Savas.
Hex or Cobalt, did you figure out how to craft the mask? Because I see a lot of people asking that over and over again.
The crafting cost of the mask looks like 100 wood, 10 cloth, and 1 wolf skull. So I think that's very similar to just the wolf headdress. And also, Alistair did just let me know that the minicopter should be on Savas as well, but he's not 100% on that. But he does believe that the minicopter will be spawning on Happus. Or Savas. It definitely will be spawning on Happus, maybe not on Savas.
Do RF items lose the channel settings on drop or death?
No, based on our testing, the frequency setting on RF devices does not change when you drop them. So if you've got a device set to your very secret frequency and you run out with that device and die, then whoever picks up your body will be able to see that frequency. So you'll want to keep that in mind. Either change the frequency and only set it when you're going to use it, or, I mean, don't die, or don't go out with those things.
And a guy is asking, wait, do you guys have real jobs? I do.
And Rustified is my job at this point. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. And yeah, I'm happy to say I love my job.
Yeah, and I work real life and on Rustified. Also for a few years. When can we choose ADS sensitivity, scoping sensitivity?
That's a good question. I think the addition of those options would be nice to have. And I haven't heard anything specifically about that coming in, though. So it would be cool, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were added. Another thing, now that we've got the minicopter controls, would be an inverting the axis while flying, because I know a lot of people are used to inverted axis when flying, but haven't seen anything specifically on any of those options. Wouldn't be surprised, though, if we see something in the future added towards that.
Can Hex turn on God mode and fly around the SAM site? It looks like the missiles lock on now, and I'd like to see how hard they are to evade.
Yeah, let's do a little testing of that to see how the minicopter holds up against the SAM site and how fast they are, because that is one thing that helped changed last night. Was originally at the older SAM site speeds of the rockets, and the maneuverability of the minicopter, it was pretty feasible to dodge the rockets, but then he subsequently has shifted it so that the SAM site's rockets go a lot quicker. So let's see what that looks like in action.
Oh no! No, I broke it.
Helicopter gets moving pretty quick, but it can get a little unwieldy to control, can it?
You didn't mention new M39 sounds and give us stats of Dragon Mask.
Well, we can show up the stats of the Dragon Mask again. It does look like it's pretty much like the Wolf headdress, but has a couple more projectile protection. I think 5 more, I want to say. I know a lot of people might be losing their minds saying pay to win, but I really think that minimal statistic is, well, just that, minimal, and probably insignificant. But hey, to each their own. So how many hits was that with the SAM site?
I think I counted 8.
Okay, I'm gonna change that on the site
hits.
Real quick, because yeah, on the site we're saying 20 direct hits, and I don't want to have bad information. It seems like that changed since last night.
I figured out the jerkiness too when you're a passenger shooting. Well, your recoil goes up and then it resets your mouse back to where you started shooting while it's flying. It's weird.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks
So
like
yeah,
they increased
definitely.
it from 5 to 12.5%.
Okay, cool.
So is there any ETA on the wipe
No, as
updates?
always, there's no exact time. I did just ping Helk to see if he wants us to restart and update the server to test anything out with the most recent builds. Basically, we saw a build go out and it wasn't processed when we went live a little over an hour ago. And then a little over half an hour ago, we saw a couple more fixed commits go in. And generally speaking, what happens is a fixed commit will go in and then the build has to complete. That build can take around an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. So realistically, right now, we're basically halfway through that build process. Once it's complete, they're going to test it and make sure it's ready to go. If it is, then we should see the update launch pretty soon after that. So I'd say at this point, if I had to guess, I'd say we're probably at least an hour away from the update going live. But as always, we don't know exactly, and we'll let you know as soon as we hear something else from the developers. But it does seem like, and also just to note, Helk did warn me before a couple hours ago that this might be a late one. So we could have a wait in front of us, but we'll hang in there with you and let you know as soon as we know anything more. And we'll keep testing this and answering questions. Once again, if you do have questions, do ping at shadow_rustified because she's the one keeping an eye out for them and asking them.
Yeah. What was the console command for spawning in the new minicopter? And that's just spawn space minicopter.
Yeah, minicopter, one word.
It's just mini cop, not minicopter.
I
It'll
tried
go.
both.
Yeah, mini
Both.
C will even spawn it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it does the unique thing. So yeah, you don't have to type it all out.
There is so many questions. I'm trying to read through so I don't read the same over and over. How bright are the lanterns at night?
Oh yeah, let's put out one of these new lanterns, the Chinese lanterns, and see.
I have one in the house. 'Cause it has to be hanging off a ceiling. Like a hanging light.
So
And actually, it
does
looks
the
pretty
hell
nice.
Go on, Shadow.
that does the heli fit through the door?
Yes,
Only
the helicopter does fit through the garage door. And the cool thing about the heli, and I'm going to do a recap here in a minute because I think it's about time. But the cool thing about the heli is that you can, once you land it, if you hold the crouch or duck button, you can drive it on the ground too. So what's cool is you can actually land it somewhere and then drive it through a garage door to store it. So that's pretty cool. And with that, I think I'll do a little recap here just to show off what we've got for the new people joining us. So really, a lot of great stuff coming in this update. This is a pretty large update from a content standpoint, and just overall a great update from what I'm seeing. So we've got the minicopter has been added. This is a new air vehicle that fits 2 people and runs off low-grade fuel. Similar to the hot air balloons, it spawns around the map. It looks like there's about 12 to 18 that will spawn at any given time on a default 4K map size. The steering is done with the mouse by looking around, and also use W to go up and S to lower your altitude, and A and D turn side to side basically. They go pretty fast and fly pretty high. And as I just mentioned, when you're on the ground, you can hold duck and actually use WASD to drive them around, which makes parking a lot easier if you're trying to do that. The SAM sites will target them, so keep an eye out. In addition to that, the missiles have been increased in speed since we were first testing it. So originally it was pretty easy to dodge the missiles. However, the missile speeds have increased, and also the damage has increased. So basically those are going to go pretty quick, and you can take about 6 hits, it looks like, before you're taken down by the SAM site. Now, as far as decay is concerned, it's also like the rowboat, where basically once the minicopter is left outside, it will start losing health over time. But if you park it inside a building, if it's got a roof over its head, then that decay will stop. With regards to fuel consumption, it uses about 30 low-grade fuel per minute, it looks like. So roughly 1 low-grade for every 2 seconds of flight is what we're seeing. Now, we've also got radio frequency devices have been added, and this is a whole new family of devices that will go great with the existing electrical items. Basically, these run off radio frequency, as the name denotes. You can set the frequency of these devices between 1 and 9,999, and basically it allows you to communicate over vast distances through operating on these frequencies. So basically, there's no limit on where these work. If you've got a transmitter and a receiver on the other side of the map, if you're on the same frequency, it will instantaneously send that, and there's no delay, no limit on the overall distance, and no limit on the receiving items. So that's pretty cool. In these items, we've got an RF receiver, which is basically a deployable switch that will allow current to flow through it when a signal is set to it that is on the frequency that it's set to. And then we've got the RF transmitter, which is a handheld device that you set the frequency, and then when you press it, it will send out that frequency to any receivers on the same channel. We've got an RF broadcaster as well that's like the transmitter, in that it will send out a frequency when electrical current runs to it, but the RF broadcaster is actually deployable. You put it on the ground, you hook it up to electrical items, and when current flows through it, then it sends out that radio frequency. And finally, we have the RF pager, which basically you set it to a frequency, and when anything goes off on that frequency on the map, it will either make a noise or vibrate if you have it set to silent mode. So you can use that to be alerted while running around. A lot of cool uses for this stuff, especially when you take into account the new additions in electrical components to the game. So the first one there is the HBHF sensor. This stands for heartbeat, breathing, humidity, and footstep sensor, or HBHF for short. And basically, when anyone in direct line of sight within 20 meters of where this thing is placed shows up, then it goes off and can send an electrical current to operate various other things. So the cool thing about this also is you can configure it with a hammer, so it can be set to only go off when an authorized user is setting it off, or when an unauthorized user is setting it off. So you can use this for various things, such as alerting you when a vagrant is roaming around your base when you don't want them to be. It can be used to set off a light or the new audio alarm. Alternatively, you could hook it up to lights in your base And when you've got authorized users walking around your base, it could automatically trigger those lights to go on, things of that nature. So that's pretty cool. We've also got a rand switch has been added. This is a random switch, and it does basically exactly what you would think it would do. It, when electrical current goes through it, will either pick true or false at random. And you can have it do various things depending on true or false. Now, the practical use of this may elude you at first, but it does have some interesting use cases for either trap bases and fucking with people, or also for gameplay elements such as gambling or various things of that nature. So it's a nice little addition to that whole electrical menage a trois. We've also got the audio alarm has been added. Now, this is a speaker that looks just like the spooky speaker from the Halloween event. And basically, this hooks up to electricity, and when a current flows to it, it makes a noise. So this can be used in conjunction with the HVHF sensor and also the other radio frequency devices to set up remote triggers, even if you've got, like, say, a secondary base or something like that, and you want to know when people are moving around it. You could have the sensor set up to a RF broadcaster, and then you could have an RF receiver at your main base hooked up to an audio alarm and get an audible noise alarm when people trigger that sensor. So pretty cool opportunities opening up with regards to these new items. Now, we've also got new lights have been added. We've got the flasher light and the siren light. The flasher light is a blue light which pulses quickly 3 times every couple of seconds. And the siren light is a red light which spins around in 360 degrees. Both of these lights operate on electricity, so when electricity is flowing, they will be on and can be used in conjunction with all the other electrical components. We've also got some new palm trees that have been added, so when you're in the arid biome, you're going to notice things look a little different, and for the better, I think. These several new types of palm trees are pretty large, and there's a couple oddly angled ones, and there's also some new types of bushes as well that appear to have been added. So this is a purely aesthetic change. It doesn't really change anything with gather rates or things of that nature, but they do look pretty darn nice. We've also got, in the realm of aesthetic changes, some new hemp models. So as you're walking around picking up your hemp, you are going to notice that that model looks pretty cool and a little different than before. And then one thing I'm most excited about is we've got a whole slew of performance improvements that have made their way into the game. Now, the team at Facepunch has prioritized both optimization on the client end and on the server end. So everyone all the way around should see the benefits of these performance enhancements. Now, this includes things like garbage collection buffering to turret triggers and a variety of other things to achieve these improvements. And I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of it. I think probably the dev blog will include a little more details if you're really interested in exactly what was done to achieve these performance improvements. But the main takeaway here is that performance should be better than it was before, both for players and for server owners, which is very, very welcomed. Now, we've also got, in conjunction with these performance improvements, we've got an update to Unity. Now, this is a new version of the underlying engine that runs the game. And thankfully, in this, we also see a lot of optimizations just to that underlying engine. So in conjunction with the performance improvements that the dev team have worked on and this new update to Unity, we should be seeing a lot of great improvements to performance overall. Now, as always, there's no way to really test this on a large scale prior to the update going live. So we can't tell you exactly how well it's going to perform. Helk did tell me early on the other week when he was working on the turret triggers and things like that, that may have an improvement of upwards of 30% on the performance of servers, or even maybe more. So it does look like there are some pretty significant improvements coming, but we won't really be able to see the full extent of it until it's live on a server with a couple hundred people on it. But I am very hopeful and optimistic that we will have improved performance all the way around after this update hits. So that is awesome. And a huge thank you to the dev team for prioritizing those shifts. We also have some special items coming in for Chinese New Year. It's 3 items in total. We've got a dragon mask, we've got a dragon door knocker, and we've got a lantern as well. These items are available for purchase on the Steam item store right now. And it looks like the mask is basically like a wolf headdress. It's similar crafting costs and everything like what we can see. And not exactly sure on the crafting costs of the other items as of this moment, just because we haven't purchased them yet, and you need to do that to actually see how to craft them in game. So I will make sure to update rustified.com shortly after this update comes out to include those 3 items. I currently only have 2 of the items anyway on that site. But I'll include the crafting costs and all that stuff for those new items shortly after the update comes out. Now, another couple things we've got going on just in the other stuff realm. Full screen exclusive mode is enabled now by default. Now, this comes with some benefits and some detriments potentially. On the benefit side, it can equate to better performance, less hitches, things of that nature. However, some people can have issues with alt tabbing and multitasking and stuff like that when that's enabled. Thankfully, you can disable it if you want to. What you have to do to disable it is go into your launch options for Steam, and it's basically a command that's like window mode borderless. I posted it on rustified.com. If you scroll down on today's post to the other stuff section, it's the first thing there, and you can put that into your launch options, your start launch options, and that will disable that full screen exclusive mode by default. Also, the memory cell now has a toggle input, and the cargo ship destroys building blocks it encounters. And finally, the oil rig monument didn't quite make it in this month. It was looking like it was pretty much ready to go, but it didn't make the cut to make it in. And I'm personally okay with that because it was going to include some scientist NPCs, and the AI behind those NPCs is something that is a pretty significant overhead on the server performance realm. And so I'm okay that there isn't more of that overhead with the addition of that oil rig. And I was talking with Helk, and he mentioned that it looks like he's going to be focusing on some AI stuff in the near future to optimize it and reduce that overhead. And so potentially they're just waiting for that to happen before the oil rig comes out. It's also possible that it just wasn't ready for some other reason. I don't have the specifics of why it didn't make it in, but we do know it did not make it in for this update. Now, in the realm of monuments, though, we did see work get started on a giant excavator monument, which I believe was in concept limbo for a while now. It's something that I think we saw the concept art of a long time ago on one of the previous dev blogs, and work for that has come underway here. And so in the next month or 2, we should be seeing not only the oil rig, but also this new giant excavator model make its way in. And that about does it for what we're seeing coming in this update. Once again, we don't know when the update's going to go live. We are waiting on this build to happen, and it does look like that build is still in process. It started just about, I'd say, 50 minutes ago. And so hopefully in the next 10-20 minutes, it will finish, and the devs will be able to test it, and we'll see if it's ready to go from there or if some more commits need to happen. So no set time on this, but I am intending that this build works and doesn't need any critical fixes to go into it and is ready to go live, which would mean that update could go live within half an hour to an hour. But as always, we'll keep you posted as we do. And another thing I just want to mention, 2 little things. Well, not little at all, actually. Charitable Rust, the final numbers came in for the skin sales and were contributed to the Tiltify campaign. And Charitable Rust 2018 raised $62,000 for charity water. $62,000 raised by the Rust community for this amazing cause that brings fresh water to individuals and communities around the world. And I'm just completely blown away by the generosity and everything that everyone put into this amazing event. And just a huge thank you to everyone who participated, because just to present you to this, this provides fresh water to literally thousands of people that didn't have access to it previously. Like this is each freshwater project that Charity Water does is around $10,000. So this is, and that brings fresh water to a whole community. So this is roughly 6 communities that the Rust community is bringing fresh water to now. That's thousands of people positively impacted in their daily life through the generosity of the players of Rust. And I'm just completely blown away by that output and the generosity and everything. So a huge thank you to everyone. And also a huge shout out to Facepunch for the 3rd year in a row, donated Steam's cut of the skin sales. Steam takes like 30% off the top, and Facepunch included that 30% out of their pockets to have it so 100% of the proceeds of the skin sales for Charitable Rust went to Charity Water. And just a huge thank you to Facepunch for supporting us in that endeavor, because the skin sales wouldn't be possible if Facepunch didn't help us do that and agree to do that. And that's where the majority of the funds are raised. So just awesome work all the way around. And thank you to Facepunch for the support in that. And now with that, we are already working on Charitable Rust 2019, and we are starting building the community team for that. We're bolstering our community team, and we have applications open to anyone who's over the age of 18 and interested in helping out, not only with Charitable Rust, but also with other community events that we've got planned. So if you're a plugin developer, artist, you can record and edit videos, you are interested in editing maps, or you just love building things. And even if you're not an expert in any of those things, if you're just interested in learning, then please go to rustified.com/apply and sign up for the community team. The applications are going to be open till February 21st, and then it's going to take probably a week or two after to go through everyone and get back to everyone. So it's likely going to be towards the end of the month if you apply, until you hear something, just to set a context for you. But we are really excited about building the team here, building this Rustified family, and really allowing us to provide not only an incredible, like just off the charts Charitable Rust 2019, but also we're excited to do a lot of other community events for the Rust community as a whole throughout the year. So a huge thank you to everyone who's already applied. And yeah, if you are interested, go to rustified.com and apply. And yeah, that about does it for our recap here. I'm just checking in with Helk. He didn't get back to me to let me know if we should update or test anything else. So I'm just going to hold off on doing that now. I guess we can take a couple more questions from the audience if anyone's got them. I imagine they do.
Oh, yes. There's been a commit where you can loot airdrops in the air. Can you confirm that?
A commit where you can loot airdrops in the air. Well, the thing is, you've been able, if you're like no clicking around,
that you can't.
Oh, that you can't. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, well, let's give it a shot. Let's call an airdrop and try to no clip up there and see if we can get in there. Worth a shot.
Do you think it's possible in the future to stack electrical components?
Yeah, I think that would be a nice thing, especially for a couple of those smaller components, to be able to stack them in your inventory. I wouldn't be surprised if that is added at some point, but we haven't seen any shifts to that as of this update.
Are you the owners of Rustified, or are you just the Twitch face?
Well, I am the owner of Rustified. This is Bugs talking here. And also on the stream is Shadow, Hex, and Cobalt, and they're all part of the Rustified team here.
Could you run people over with the helicopter?
I'm not going to say that's impossible, but not very practical, given given it looks like it causes more damage to the helicopter than it does to the people. So one thing to note though is when the helicopter explodes, it does have fire around it. So that could be used to potentially damage not only people but buildings in certain instances. So that is something to keep in mind.
People asking if we can land on dome and land launch site and all.
Yeah, and you can land on dome, you can land on launch site, but you got to watch out because remember there's 4 SAM sites on the top of launch, and these things are targeted by SAM sites, and the missile velocity of SAM sites has been increased along with the damage dealt to the minicopter since we first tested. So originally it was just doing about 5% damage to total health for each hit. Now it looks like that's more than doubled. It looks like more like 12.5%. So about 6 rockets from the SAM site will take you down. And that is something to keep in mind when going after launch site because those missiles are going to come at you quick and take you down pretty quickly. But it is possible. With regards to landing on the cargo ship, that is not as feasible. You can land, you can jump off and get on the cargo ship, but when you put the actual minicopter on the cargo ship, it kind of just stays still as the cargo ship goes forward, if you know what I mean, and it just kind of clips through the cargo ship and then blows up. So if you do land a minicopter on the cargo ship, it's not going to be your minicopter for long.
Is there any news on a better anti-cheat system?
On a better entity system.
Anti-cheat, sorry.
Oh, anti-cheat system. Well, it looks like the team is sticking with EAC, and that has been the anti-cheat system for a long time now, along with the in-game anti-cheat and of course VAC, and its infinite glory. So I don't believe any changes are going to come to that anytime soon. I haven't heard of anything, but one thing is that EAC is constantly working on improving their algorithms and catching hackers and everything like that. So that's constantly in flux. And it seems like there's an ebb and flow with hackers. It's kind of a back and forth that we have to deal with, but that is the state of it, and I don't see it changing anytime soon per se. So Hex, you're able to drag out of those airdrops, right? And I'm not hearing you, Hex, if you're talking.
Yeah.
But maybe he's just too busy dragging stuff out of the air. That's
Yeah,
okay.
it's very hard. So I'll try with the copter actually, but it's very hard. Cobalt, if you have
Just
time.
stand on top of it and just crouch.
All right. Never tried
Is
that
there
before.
any storage on the minicopter?
No, there is no storage on the minicopter. It's just the fuel thing in the back. And the other thing is, if this airdrop thing was recently changed, we're not running the most recent commits yet because the build isn't complete. So it's possible that this might change before the update goes live.
Someone just said, "Don't apologize for your accent. That was easy to understand, Shadow." Well, thank you. By the way, can you stand on the cargo ship when deployed from the heli as well as heli?
Well, you can jump off the heli onto the cargo ship, if that's a question. I'm not sure. But once again, the helicopter doesn't play with the cargo ship very well.
Are you going to open a solo server for Rustified now that you have a solo trio?
Well, I'm not going to rule anything out, but we don't have any plans to open a solo server in the near future. I think the trio server accomplishes that small group dynamic well enough. I know a lot of people would like a solo server, but We don't have plans to do that anytime in the near future. Anything's possible though in beyond the near future.
The new lights, what are the research costs to the blueprints of them?
Now, this may change. Last we tested, though, the new lights cost 750 scrap to research. But Helk did say he planned on changing that, and he asked me to remind him, which I did, to change that before the update. So hopefully that's changed in one of these most recent builds. But I have not confirmed that yet. At the moment, they're 750 scrap to research, which is definitely not what's intended.
So do you think that the new performance update will help the game?
I do. I'm very excited to see the new performance in action. And there have been a lot of things done with regards to performance, both on the client and the server end, and with the addition of the new update to Unity, which also has performance improvements. I'm very excited to see how performance is after this update goes live.
For server owners, how do you apply for the server owner Discord that you was talking about for a while ago?
Basically, as that stands now, you got to know someone who knows someone. As far as I know, I don't think we have an official application process. There's definitely some criteria. Even though I technically own that server owner Discord, I'm not the one who mainly runs it anymore. So I put that off to someone else who's much better at running those things than I am. So.
Do player bodies fall through the minicopter's object upon death or stay on it?
Good question. I actually don't know whether your body stays. I would assume so.
I still see people asking about the oil rig and no, that's not in yet. Postponed until maybe next month.
Yeah, oil rig did not make it in.
Could we get a word on if Happy's will get a pop increase anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm considering that. I might increase the pop on Happus. I'll look into that. I mainly want to see how the performance increases have done. And I will consider that, though, as we go through this update.
I know it's only 5% more protection than Wolf Head, but isn't the face mask considered pay to win since it's a separate item that you can give a combat advantage?
Well, it really depends on your point of view of that. At the most strict of like looking at it, I can see how you could say that. But given it's a very small percentage increase, I don't think it really matters, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion on it. I haven't fully tested this or anything, but it's only, I think, an extra 5% protection. So I don't think it's anything to get all upset about, though, as people are prone to do.
I think it's about the same if you were to wear a wolf headdress and bandana.
Oh, yeah, and that's a good point, because you can't wear the bandana with it. So
Is there any changes to millitons or cargo?
that's a good question. I actually haven't seen if the military tunnel lighting is drastically different. I know there was a body of work being done on that and it was added in and then removed. And I don't recall if it was actually added back and it might have been. Can you guys maybe head over to military tunnels so we can take a quick peek at what that looks like? Maybe we could even fly a helicopter over there. I don't know.
Good idea.
Do you die when heli lands on you, or do we have to worry about people glitching through our roofs into our base?
What were you guys seeing with the heli landing on someone?
just-
Was it doing damage to that person?
It didn't do damage. You just get kind of popped out to the side.
Okay. So hopefully there's no additional exploit or anything added with that, but I believe that was accounted for as it was for the hot air balloons.
So does the dragon door knocker add HP to the door?
Oh yeah, let's
don't
test
think-
that. I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
think
think
it
so, though.
does. Yeah, I don't believe it does, but let's test if it does.
And just in between questions, is there any ETA on wipe update?
Well, there's no update on the ETA. I haven't heard anything from the developers in a little while now. Where we're at basically is waiting for this last build and the round of commits that happened a little over an hour ago to complete. Let me ask Alistair if he's got a status on that build real quick and see if we should update our server. So 1 second here.
Okay, maybe Hex or Cobalt can answer this.
What's-
How do you get the dragon mask?
You have to buy it from the Rust item store.
And what does it cost to craft?
To craft the dragon mask is 100 wood, 10 cloth, 1 wolf skull.
Thank you.
And yeah, I'm back waiting to hear from Alistair. And what we want to do also is we've got a little promotional video for our community team that our community team put together. It's really great, actually. So I'd love to show that off here and take a little break, and then we'll be back. So Hex, do you want to load that up?
Yep, I'll load it while we're flying to the mill tents.
All right, excellent.
The average Rust player spends much of their life running from wildlife that wants to eat them, as well as other players who want to do the same. Are you tired of running? Do you want some place to belong? Somewhere safe, where you don't have to worry about the trials and dangers of normal Rust life? If your answer is yes, then the Rustify community team is the place for you. The Rustify community team is responsible for the planning, creating, and running of events. We've built and run multiple smaller events, such as gun game, themed building contests, and art contests, to name a few. We are also responsible for our larger events, such as D-Day, Invasion, our annual Halloween event, as well as our annual Charitable Rust, which has raised over $120,000 over just a 4-year period, all of which went to the designated charity for that year. We're looking for skilled plugin developers who have the desire to volunteer their time on plugin development, people who are able to create and edit maps for our events, as well as those who wish to create and edit videos, build and test the events themselves, and design in-game signs, skins, as well as the art which showcase the events themselves. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is a lot of work put into our events. They take months of planning, coordinating with team members and special guests such as streamers and developers, making sure we have the builds completed and tested thoroughly. We spend countless hours of our time volunteering to make these events the best they can be. So whether you have the skills and knowledge of plugin development, map editing, art, video recording and editing, or you just love to build amazing things, or in the process of learning any of these skills, the community team has a place for you. Join us. Help us make the future a better place.
Alrighty. So cool. And thank you. Big shout out to the community team and Putty for creating that video, and Toby for voicing it and everything. That's awesome. So, and I just heard back from Alistair that the latest build is looking good so far. So that is a good sign. As far as when this update is going to come, your guess is still as good as mine, but it looks like we are on track to see it pretty soon, as we haven't seen any commits in over an hour. Actually, let me refresh that commits page real quick and make sure I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's been an hour and 9 minutes since last commit, and that is a good sign in terms of getting this update out. So in the meantime, we'll just keep handling some questions. I'll do a recap here in a little bit, but we were going over to check out military tunnels and see if that new lighting and changes to military tunnels is in there. So Hex, how's that looking so far?
Yeah, it was pretty loud, so I waited for you to finish talking because it was pretty loud. But I don't see a lot of changes. It seems a bit brighter than it was previously, but other than that, I don't see a lot of changes.
Okay, so either that made it in or it's very minor.
Seems a bit brighter.
Cool.
Can we please hear the M39 from afar? Thank you.
Yeah, we can test that real quick.
And also, can you show off the dragon mask again, please?
Will do.
How many helis will spawn per map?
It looks like it's variable, but between 12 to 18 is what we're seeing on a normal 4K default size map. And that's going to be at any given time. So if one's destroyed, then another one will spawn after a certain amount of time.
Cobalt, can you shoot the M39 from afar?
Sure.
Can the passenger in the heli meet the driver so he doesn't get shot so easily or die so easily, I guess?
Well, I guess the passenger sitting in front will technically block some of the projectiles coming at the driver, but I'm not sure if that's your question or not, but yeah.
Does autorun works like on boats? So we can switch sheets from short period and shoot?
No, it does not. Auto run does work for pushing W for you, but it does not continue to push W when you switch off the seat.
When does the Rust store get updated? Every week? Is there a set time?
There isn't a set time, just like the updates on the first Thursday of every month. It happens basically when it's ready. But the item store tends to get updated every week, as in there's new skins being added every single week.
Is there any information on nerfing the honeycomb?
Nothing new this week or anything with this update, but it definitely does, if you look at the roadmap, seem like that will be coming in the near future.
How does the airdrop interact with the minicopter in regards with physics, or does it just pass through it?
You seem to collide with it, and you'll most likely end up falling or damaging your minicopter to the point where it'll just crash.
And how does the hemp look now?
Very good.
The hemp looks pretty damn cool. Yeah, it's a
Looks like
nice new
hemp
model.
now, yeah.
Yeah, looks like a higher fidelity hemp.
Why is the shop price of the mask doubled within an hour? Because more people buy it?
No, sometimes the devs might change the price, and it does look like when it first went up, it was one price, and it changed afterwards. So they might have just been mistaken. It might have just been a fluke when they put the first price up, and then they fixed it. So.
How fast can the copter drive on land?
It doesn't seem like the land speed is too incredibly fast. It definitely goes faster when going in the air. But once again, you can drive the helicopter on land by holding the duck key and WASD keys. And that is really comes in handy for if you want to actually park it after you land it. As you can see, we set up here kind of a landing pad and then a garage door to go in with it. But yeah, the land speed doesn't seem too incredibly fast.
So there's a message for you, Bugs, from big_D_Dunson or something. Say hi to Bugs, an old friend. You guys are still going strong. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. And yeah, we're still going strong. This game is still going strong. And I still love reporting on this stuff. I'm so excited every month to see what's coming in and every week to see what they're working on in development. And I'm really excited to see this stuff come in. The minicopter is pretty cool. These radio frequency devices are awesome and really expand the possibilities with the electricity in game. And best of all, we've got performance improvements from client and server end. And I can't wait to see those in practice. It's hard to really tell the full scope of them when you're just on a test server with only a couple people. But once we get them on all our servers and we've got a couple hundred people in there, I can't wait to see how it has improved. So yeah, really great update overall today.
Can you repair the helicopter, and with what?
Yeah, we actually want to test that a little bit. So you can repair it with a hammer, and I want to see how can you pause and try to repair it real quick and see what resources are required to repair it?
If I don't break it immediately, I'll try.
And can someone throw a satchel to the new Chinese event thing? Will the satchel make damage to the door, or it will be bugged like key locks?
We can test that. Let's see. I don't think that the new door knocker adds any HP to the door or anything like that, but we can test it.
Can I just add something? Because I see a lot of the questions coming over and over again, and Box actually made like a list on rustify.com with the cost of each item. So feel free to go there and look if I don't read it out loud over and over.
And yeah, and the only things that are missing are the actual costs of the new Chinese New Year items. And I will add those to the site very shortly after this update comes out and we get the update run on all servers and everything like that. So
Shadow, please. Can you clip through junkyard with the minicopter? It can be used to go under map.
Now, I I know Cobalt, you guys were testing last night and you clipped onto the map. Are you able to do that again?
Let me try.
Doesn't seem like it's being repaired though. So I damaged it and you cannot see the damage on the chopper itself unless you are on it. So right now it has 785 and I have all the mats on me, all the possible ones like HQM, metal, stone and wood. When I try
Pick up some gears.
I might try that.
Will this wipe require an actual game update for players?
Yes. This will be an update to servers and clients. And so when the update is launched, generally speaking, the server update will launch first. Then we'll see the dev blog go live, and then we'll see the client update hit. And once that client update hits, you should get a update required message on your Steam library. And everyone will have to download that update. Servers will have to restart, and it will be a forced map wipe on all servers. There's not a forced blueprint wipe with this update. That being said, Rustified servers will be wiping blueprints on all of our servers, given we wipe on a 2-month schedule, and it has been 2 months.
Please show the moving tree, and do you fall through when you are on it?
The moving tree.
When
Are
you
the
fly
new
a
con?
Yeah, when you fly a heli over trees, they move all sideways and stuff like you're blowing them around.
Oh yeah.
Just doesn't seem to repair. I have pipe springs and gears on me and still same health.
Maybe sheet metal or scrap. I'm trying to think of what else. Maybe. I mean, and the other thing that's possible here is some fixes were just released that we're not running currently because we're not on the most recent build, and so it's possible that this has been fixed and it's just not working on the build that we're on.
Why is the update so late today?
Well, the update isn't necessarily late given there's no set time for when it's supposed to hit. So if there's no schedule, it's hard to be late to no schedule. That being said, it generally does release by around now, and it hasn't. Now, Helk did let me know it could be delayed a little bit. He let me know earlier today that was the case. Just I think given the state of things and what needed to be done so far. So he did give me that heads up. But what we're seeing here is, and let me just refresh real quick to make sure. We haven't seen any new commits in almost an hour and a half here. And that is a good sign because generally speaking, that means that they've done the build and they're just testing it to make sure it's good to go. And hopefully, if there's no other mandatory things that need to make it in there requiring another build, then we could see this update go live soon. But that being said, I haven't heard anything recently. I heard just about 20 minutes ago from Alistair that the latest build is looking good so far. But that doesn't say much to when we can expect this update to go live. So we'll keep you posted as we know more.
Reading through. Was the L96 removed?
Nope, I don't believe so. Can you guys confirm that?
Still in there.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yep. There's like a lot of people asking that, but I'm not sure why, because I didn't see anything with regards to that.
Does the minicopter take damage from the heli?
Uh, I think you as a person are way more likely to take damage than the helicopter.
Yeah, when we were testing that, it looked like the helicopter was just targeting the person on the helicopter. And it seems like you're going to die a lot quicker than your minicopter is going to explode when you're engaged in that situation. The other thing I want to note, and one of my team members just pointed out, with regards to that moving trees and everything, that's actually just, it looks like something with the optimizations and the artifacts of the trees not being completely loaded in as you're moving through. So it looks like they're moving, but it's actually just kind of a lower quality version of the tree that then gets updated to the higher quality version of the tree. So I don't think it's necessarily like the actual tree moving as if you were on the ground, like you wouldn't see it moving. It just appears to be because you're in the helicopter and that's the assets loading in.
But it happens when you're like on the ground beside them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then I may be completely mistaken then. And if I am, I apologize.
How far away can the copter be heard from?
That's a good question. Maybe we can test that out a little bit. If Cobalt, you want to hop in a helicopter and fly away from Hex, and we can kind of listen. And yeah, I see those trees moving there. I think we were talking about two different things, because when you're in the helicopter moving quickly over, uh, the trees coming into loading view can move around a bit as well in a kind of different way. But yeah.
So is it going to be possible to drop off teammates on boats, etc.?
Yeah, it does look like that will be possible.
Does the auto turret damage the turret chopper?
I don't believe so. We can test it. The auto turret is just going to target the human in it, not the chopper, but it might have some subsequent damage just because of that.
Why are some trees 2D?
And I think that's just a function of when you're farther away, the trees are different. It's kind of like the LOD stuff. And this has shifted a bit, and they changed it because the helicopter is moving so quickly across the screen. You'll see if you like no clip around and go somewhere else, it'll take a while for all the assets to actually load in. And I believe that's to reduce stuttering and hitches in the game like that. But it's also impacted in sometimes you'll see a lower quality version of the thing in front of you and then it will load in. It also, of course, depends on what your graphical settings are set to.
Could you maybe type per5 in your console and tell us what GPU/CPU you are using?
Yeah, Hex, I don't know if you want to do that. Also, we're not hearing you if you're talking.
No, it's all good. I was debating whether or not to do it, but I got a 1070 Ti and a pretty good CPU as well. So as you can see, I'm running 100 FPS and only 4 gigs of RAM has been used.
Cool. So I'd say overall, and now it's hard to tell with performance because performance is always better on a relatively empty server, and so it really will vary. And the real way to see it is going to be once we get on a server with a couple hundred people in it and bases and things of that nature. But it does look like there have been some pretty significant improvements to performance, and I'm very excited to see how that behaves in actuality once we get this update out. And it does look like the final build is in process, and we'll hopefully be seeing this update hit pretty soon. I haven't heard anything specifically from the devs in a little bit, but I will ping them shortly. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to ask at shadow underscore rustified, I should say. And do we want to set it to daytime and maybe fly around a bit more as we're handling those questions?
Yeah. Same again, with the 8K recoil, wind whip. Can we see if there's any changes to the military tunnels?
Yeah, we went over there and looked. It didn't look like anything too significant. It might be a little brighter now, so there might have been some changes to the lights, but it wasn't anything to like really write home about, so to speak.
Okay, so if you crash the copter into a player building, can you clip inside of it?
We have not seen that directly, but maybe we can try to run it into this building here and see if we can cause any funky things to happen.
So, did they add compound lightning or what?
Oh yeah, let's head over to Compound and see if those lighting effects are actually in as well, because they were doing some changes to that lighting there, and I haven't personally checked that out yet. So let's maybe after we ram this a little bit, let's see if we can head over to Compound and check it out.
I mean, it's pretty hard getting yourself into a building. If you do it slowly, you might, but I don't think it's very feasible to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like you're much more likely just to blow up your minicopter.
Can you please test if the new dragon door knob blocks damage from satchel like a key lock blocks a damage?
Yeah, Cobalt, can you test that out real quick and see what your
I
findings
did.
are?
It doesn't change the door at all.
Okay, so yeah, no change with that new door knocker.
Where are we going to outpost?
Military
Yeah.
tunnel. Oh, sorry.
No, outpost
Yeah.
or compound or whatever you want to call it.
How do I apply for a job? On Rustified, I suppose.
Well, we've got applications open for the community team at rustified.com/apply. And we are looking for people who do plugin development, who do video editing, who just like to build stuff. And that's 18 plus only, please. But yeah, we've got applications for that open. And then sometime in March, we'll be doing applications for more moderators as well. So keep your eyes and ears posted for that.
Could you please release old Rust servers? A lot of people want to do that.
Yeah, that's not really feasible. Also, just a reminder, we are not developers of the game. We're just an independent organization, fans of the game like you all are. But from my understanding, of it, it's more work than it's really worth to maintain an old version of the game. And they stopped supporting Legacy because that was costing thousands of dollars a year when there was hardly anyone playing it in licensing fees and things like that just to keep it running. So, yeah, it's not really feasible to have that old version of the game going. And I don't think the devs are going to prioritize that anytime soon.
What am I looking for at the compound?
There were some lighting changes that were potentially coming into play at like the chill zone and stuff like that, or whatever they call that.
I think that
But
might be just at night. Let me just switch to night quickly.
cool.
Will streamer mode hide? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say for anyone tuning in, we're still waiting on that final build to complete and get tested. So no word on exactly when this update is coming, but it does look like it will be hopefully pretty soon here.
Will streamer mode hide the frequency of Earth components?
Oh, that's a good question. And I don't know if that was accounted for as of yet, but maybe maybe Cobalt, you could turn that on and see
What was the question? I didn't quite catch it.
if
With it,
streamer mode is gonna hide the frequency.
I'll check.
That's a good question. I don't know if they thought of that one yet, but it would make sense. And yeah, I don't think the lighting, the changes to lighting or anything made it into the outpost monument or the military tunnels. It doesn't look like it, or if it did, it was very subtle and hard to tell.
No, it just shows your frequency on your hotbar.
Okay, yeah. So streamer mode doesn't hide frequency, and that might be an issue for streamers because there's no protection on frequency. Anyone can go on any frequency. So if that gets out, then anyone can mess with your frequency related things.
someone just said try low grade to repair the helicopter.
I had low grade at the time in my inventory, and it didn't help. I want to try it again
Yeah,
if
I
you guys
thought so.
want to, but I had it in my hotbar.
Can you go up on launch site with the heli, or does the SAM turret kills it?
The SAM turret will,
This,
yeah, it'll get you.
yeah, yeah. The 4 SAM turrets up there are going to get you pretty quick, especially because the velocity at which those missiles come at you is much quicker. And it now, instead of around 20 missiles when we first tested it, now only takes about 6, it seems like, to destroy the minicopter. And do we want to put daytime on again? Because it's a little dark up in here. And yeah, you know
Okay, you
what? Let's
didn't.
test. Let's test going up to launch site just to see, because I personally, I personally haven't done that yet. So we can just show off what it looks like for people to get to launch site, and maybe we should get a fresh heli to do that.
Yep.
Are they fixing exploits, like clipping into rocks and foundations using boats?
I know a couple exploits were fixed with this update, and I'm not sure to the extent that they were really fixed or not, but the devs are aware of that, and that's a common thing that we'll see is if an exploit comes out, it oftentimes is fixed in the near future after that. So, and I believe on the dev blog when it comes out, they'll in the change notes probably list some more specifics around that. But there were some things changed with the specifically the cargo ship and building blocks and things of that nature. Speaking of the dev blog, it is not out yet. So we're still waiting on that final build to be done and complete. No word from the devs yet on exactly the status of that, but I will ping them in a couple minutes just to see. And they did tweet, it was, what was that, like about a little over half an hour ago, that the final build was in process. So yeah, that was 37 minutes ago. So we should see this here pretty soon, hopefully, providing there isn't any other commits required to come in.
What are the lights, the new lights, recycling down to?
The recycling of the new lights was yielding you a couple high quality metal, like 3 high quality metal. And you got to wait on this new build to see if the research cost is updated, because currently the research cost has been 750 scrap, which is definitely not as intended. So we'll see if that is changed as of the most recent build.
Does the outpost tag the new heli?
No, it does not.
Can you enter the train yard with the copter from the top and bypass the keycards?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, it does look like you can do that.
Stats on the dragon mask again.
Yeah, we can show that off. Basically, there was it was pretty much the same as the wolf headdress, except there was a 5% increase on projectile.
Yeah, it seems that it is possible if you're just being very careful.
Yeah, you gotta come up real low underneath the SAM sites.
All right. Well, that's interesting.
Will the official servers wipe as well?
Yes, all servers will wipe when the update hits, which hopefully is going to be soon here. And yeah, I imagine those SAM sites are going to be tweaked a bit so that you can't do that. I definitely don't think that's intended.
Being very careful though.
Well, let's see.
I mean, you could also just use it to drop people off on that ladder stuff on the outside also.
Yeah, true. Well, that is definitely interesting.
Tank shot at us.
Yep, definitely got to watch out for that.
What was the other one? The train yard, right?
Yeah.
What's the roadmap looking like for the future?
That's a good question. We've got some exciting stuff on the roadmap. And although it looks like it may be a little out of date, what we do have on the immediate future is the farming 3.0 to clean up farming and make it a more important mechanic of the game. We also got a bunch of shifts to item amounts and really balance of things, it looks like. And furthermore, we've got a lot of online raiding balance to limit the usefulness of honeycombing and encourage the use of traps, and also the addition of raid notifications. So that I think is going to be a really interesting one. We also, not as popular as the weight limits and backpacks stuff, which could be interesting. And then what I'm really excited about is the whole RustNet thing that will be in-game computers. People are able to log into this network and do bounties, remote device access, jobs, and email. I think that RustNet edition is going to be really cool and a really great supplement to the already existing electricity stuff and radio frequency stuff we're seeing coming in today. So yeah, the future is bright when you look at the roadmap for what we've got coming in Rust in the next year or two.
Can we see more of the new lights and the new components?
Yeah, we can do that. Maybe we want to head back to our little test base and show off. And it's probably about time I do a little recap here so we can get back there. I'll do a quick recap and we can show off the new items and what's come in.
Maybe do a recap now, because there is still coming a lot of the same questions we answered a lot of times, maybe.
Cool, I'll go through it here. Then what do we got in this update? And first of all, before I get into the recap, for anyone just joining and wondering when's WIP, when is this update hidden? As always, we don't know exactly when the update is going to hit. It's really just when the developers are ready. What we do know is that it looks like the final build was in process and may be complete. So we might be at the point where they're just getting the dev blog ready, and we could see this update hit pretty soon. I have not heard anything specifically very recently from the devs, but after I finish this recap, I will ping Helk and see if he's got any update on time. But I try not to bug him too much because I know he's just working to get this ready to go, and I don't like to slow him down by asking. But we will let you know as soon as we know. But back to what is coming in this update today, we have the minicopter has been added. This is the newest vehicle in Rust. It flies gracefully through the sky. It's got 2 seats, 2 passengers, and runs on low-grade fuel. Similar to a hot air balloon, you will find these spawning randomly around the map. You don't craft them. There's just about 12 to 18 that spawn at any given time on a 4K default map size. So just like hot air balloons, just like rowboats. To steer them, basically, you use W and S. W to go up and S to go down. Use A and D to move side to side. And then you use your mouse, basically pushing it up to tilt forward and pulling it down to tilt backwards. And same with steering side to side. So it's a combination of keyboard and mouse movements to move it around. The other cool thing is that you can actually drive the minicopter on ground by holding the duck key while you use W, A, S, and D. So you can actually drive it on the wheels like a car, which really comes in handy for after you land it, pulling it into, say, a garage door to store it. Speaking of storage, it's very similar to the rowboat in form of decay. If it's left outside in the open, it will decay over time, but if you get a roof over its head, that decay will stop. So you can store these and stop that decay. The other thing to note is that SAM sites will target these, so watch out. Thankfully, it's possible maybe to dodge them, but that's not as possible as it was last night when we were testing, because the missile speeds have been increased and also the damage has been increased. So basically, it is going to take about 6 direct hits from a SAM site to take the minicopter down. Originally, when we were testing, it was 20, but it now looks like it does about 12.5% damage to the overall health of the minicopter during each hit. So that is the minicopter. You'll find them on roads and also on airfields. Those are the 2 places that they will spawn. So you've got a good chance if you visit the airfield monument, and also if you just look around the roads around the map. Next, we've got radio frequency devices. This is a whole new family of items is here, which allows you to communicate remotely with electrical devices. These items operate on a specific radio frequency you can set between 1 and 9,999. And when you communicate with this, you can do it from anywhere on the map instantaneously with any number of things. So basically, there's the RF transmitter, which is a handheld device that you set the frequency, and then when you press it, it was originally called the detonator last week. They changed it because there's no remote explosives hooked up to this system yet. So a detonator was kind of a misnomer. It's now the RF transmitter. That handheld device, you click it and it'll send out a radio frequency on whatever frequency you set. Then you have the RF receiver, which is, on the receiving end of that. That's a deployable that when a frequency is received at whatever frequency it's set to, it'll send an electrical current through there so you can toggle things on and off when that frequency is received. There's also the RF broadcaster, which is similar to the transmitter in that it sends out a radio frequency on a certain set channel. This, however, is a deployable item that hooks up to electrical devices. So basically, when a current is received in the broadcaster, it will then send out that radio frequency. Finally, there's the RF pager. This is another handheld device that basically you set it to a frequency, and when a transmission is received on that frequency, it'll make a noise or vibrate if you have it set to vibrate. In conjunction with this radio frequency devices that have been added, there's also some new electrical components in. First of all, we've got the HBHF sensor. That stands for heartbeat, breathing, humidity, and footstep sensor. And that basically is triggered whenever anyone in direct line of sight within 20 meters shows up where it's placed. You can configure this to go off when only authorized users are around, or go off only when unauthorized users are around. So this can be used not only to warn when you have intruders in a certain area, it can also be used to improve quality of life, to like turn lights on or open doors when you have an authorized user in the area. So that's pretty cool. We also have the addition of a RAND switch. This is the random switch, and it does basically just what you would expect. When an electrical current comes into it, it randomly generates either true or false, allowing you to create random situations with electricity. This can be used for games that you want to create, or gambling, or things of that nature, or just to fuck with people, quite frankly, in a trap-based environment. We also have the addition of the audio alarm. Now, this looks pretty much just like the spooky speaker from the Halloween event. It's the same model pretty much, and it hooks up to electricity and makes a noise when electrical current flows through it. So this could be used in conjunction with the HBHF sensor, for instance, to make a noise when you've got people running around either outside or even across the map. If you use the radio frequency devices to hook the two things up, you can be alerted when you have people moving around at, say, a secondary base that is completely in some other place in the map. So that's pretty cool. We also have new lights have been added, and these include a flasher light and a siren light. The flasher light is a blue light that pulses quickly 3 times every couple of seconds, and the siren light is a red light that spins around in 360 degrees in 2 directions. And these are hooked up to electricity. They are on when electricity is flowing, as you would see, and can be used to alert of things or used as a helicopter landing pad. Basically, you name it, these lights can light it up. We've also got new palm trees have been added. This is in the arid biome. You'll notice a couple new types of palm trees, including a real oddly angled one, which is pretty cool looking, and even some new bushes. These are purely aesthetic changes. They do not really change anything with the gameplay, but they do look pretty cool. Also, in the form of aesthetic changes, we've got the new hemp models have been added, and these also just look different. They look better, much more hempy. And yeah, just nice job on these models. But purely visual, doesn't change anything with gameplay. And then what I'm most excited about is all the performance improvements that the team has been working on. They prioritized performance a couple weeks ago and have worked hard on putting out several different various improvements and optimizations for both client and server. And that includes a whole slew of different things, including like garbage collection, buffering, and turret triggers, and all this stuff. And I think probably on the dev blog, they'll go into maybe a little more detail about the specifics. I'm not going to dig too deep into that. I'm just going to tell you that the main takeaway is performance should be better all the way around. In conjunction with this, we've got the Unity update, and that's the update to the underlying engine of the game. And with that, there are a lot of optimizations and performance improvements baked into that update with Unity. So the combination of all the in-game changes that they did for both client and server and the Unity update, I think performance will probably be better than we've seen in a while. Now, as always with performance, we can't really test until it's live on a server with a couple hundred people in there. So it's hard to tell exactly what it will be, but Helk did tell me the other week that from the server standpoint, he was able to improve performance by 30 or more %, which is a very large, pretty drastic change. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that holds up when this update goes live, and I just can't wait to see better performance in general. We also have a couple Chinese New Year items. Now, these are available on the item store right now. It's 3 items. There is the dragon mask, there is the dragon door knocker, and there is the lantern as well. They're available for purchase. The probably big thing to note here is that the dragon mask, last we checked, does have, it's similar to the wolf headdress, but it does have 5 better protection, or not, what am I trying to say, projectile protection. And a lot of people are screaming pay to win and stuff like that. One thing to note is that you can wear the bandana with the wolf dress, and you can't wear the bandana with the dragon mask. And so potentially it just like evens out there anyway. But yeah, I personally don't think it's a huge deal, but we'll see. You know, I think people like to get upset about things, and this is a good excuse to get upset. But that's the state of the matter right now. We also have a couple other things, including full screen exclusive mode is enabled by default. Now, this has its pros and it has its cons. Pros could see better performance and less hitches, things of that nature. Cons, you know, you can have issues with alt tabbing and multitasking and things of that nature. The good news is, if you don't want full screen exclusive mode enabled by default, you can go into your start launch options in Rust and add a command, basically -window -mode space borderless, to have it not be full screen exclusive. If you're looking for that command, go to rustified.com. Towards the bottom of today's post, there's other stuff, and that's the first thing under other stuff, under that header. We've also got the memory cell now has a toggle input, and cargo ships destroy building blocks it encounters. The one thing to note is the oil rig monument didn't quite make it in this month, so we're not seeing that. But we did also see work get started on the giant excavator monument, which has been in concept limbo for a long time. I believe there was a giant excavator concept art like a long time ago. I might be mistaken, but work on that artwork has started. So we should see these new monuments hit sometime in the next month or two. And then just on another note, I'm happy to announce that the final numbers for Charitable Rust 2018 came in, and we raised $62,000 for Charity Water in Charitable Rust 2018. And I just want to give a huge heartfelt thank you to everyone who participated. I am so moved and so honored at the real generosity and giving that the Rust community as a whole did in this. And really, we literally are bringing fresh water to thousands of people who didn't have access to it through this event. And I just think that's so astonishing and so cool. And we're already working on Charitable Rust 2019. I also want to give a huge thank you to Facepunch for their support in this, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do the skin sales, which are what generated the majority of the donations here, was the 100% of the proceeds from the skin sales. And on top of that, for the third year in a row, they gave the 30% that Steam takes out of those skin sales, they donated out of their own pocket, making it so that 100% of the proceeds do go to Charity Water. And that's what got us up to the $62,000 raised for this event. And so just a huge thank you to Facepunch and everyone who participated. And with that, we are building the community team. And that team is not only planning for already Charitable Rust 2019, but also some other community events that will be running throughout the year. So if you're interested, then go to rustified.com/apply. And we're looking for people who do plugin development, map making, video editing, or just love building in Rust in general. And even if you're just getting started and you want to learn some more of those skills, feel free to join if you're over 18. And yeah, that about does it. And I'm just checking here. It does look like there is a new commit for furnace pickup fix. So that may mean that we have to wait for another build here. So that wouldn't be ideal, but we will see. We'll hang in there with you. And yeah, I'm going to ping Helk and see how everything's going with that. And feel free to ask any questions to shadow_rustified.
And there is actually a lot of questions about why don't you just update the servers? We are not the developers of this game.
Yeah, that's the main answer, is we have no control over when this update goes live because we're just fans of the game like you. But we will report when we hear anything from the devs or know anything more. In the meantime, we're happy to answer questions and go through what's coming in this update when it does hit.
There was a commit from Alistair like 10 minutes ago. What does that mean?
So that means that that's another fix that is coming in. And unfortunately, what that means is every time there's a commit, the game has to build again. And that build process is what creates the executables that the game runs on. And that requires a lot of compiling and getting everything together. And unfortunately, although that used to be earlier on in the game, that would happen in a matter of like 10 to 20 minutes. Now it takes more like an hour to an hour and 10 minutes for that to happen. So what that commit really means is if that is then going to be the final build of the game, then we have to wait probably an hour and 10 minutes at least for that build to be done, and then for that to be tested and confirm that it's all working before they release the update. So basically, in theory, a new commit basically pushes the update back by about an hour to an hour and a half.
Can you add radiation damage to kill roof campers?
I doubt that would happen. It doesn't seem like roof camping is considered too big of an issue by the developers. So I don't see them just adding random radiation onto the top of people's roofs to counteract that.
Does the knocker have a hitbox like the code lock that reduces damage from the EXP ammo if you hit it?
No, it
Explode.
doesn't. It doesn't look like the knocker has any impact on door damage or anything like that. The other thing to note is that knocker only works on single doors. It doesn't work on double doors.
Question. So now we can make like raid alert system if we're not home?
Yeah, what you can do with this, and that's what I think is so cool about this radio frequency stuff. Oh, and I just heard from Helk. I said, "How's it looking?" And he said, "Almost." So hopefully, almost. um, hopefully
Fingers
that means
crossed.
soon. Maybe we don't have to wait for another build to go out. Maybe that furnace fix that happened about 15 minutes ago isn't required for this to go out. We don't know. But I hope so, because frankly, I don't want to wait another hour or so just to have a furnace pickup fix, but that's just me. But we did just hear from Helk that almost. So I think that means that we might just be waiting for them to push this final build out and we won't have to wait for another one, which would be awesome. Anyway, with regards to the radio frequency stuff, I think that stuff is really cool because it does allow you to communicate with these electrical devices from anywhere across the map. And with the addition of this new HBHF sensor, you can do that. So you can basically set up warning signs along the road. You could have, if you have a farming base and you want to know when people are messing with it, you could put that sensor out there and hook that sensor up to a transmitter that then has a receiver back at your base that has either one of these new flashing lights or the audio alarm speaker or both. And you could get notified when someone's moving around out there. Furthermore, if you think about this, you could have that warning out there, and then you could have another frequency set up with turrets behind doors that you can then click remotely to open the doors to have the turrets then blow up anyone outside the base, all being done while you're not even anywhere in sight. And I think that's pretty cool. That's something we definitely could not do before. And I think opens up a whole world of new possibilities in gameplay that I think are going to be experimented with greatly, and we're going to see some awesome stuff from.
Can the minicopter be repaired from the passenger seat?
Well, we haven't had any luck repairing the minicopter anyway. So, but that could be just because we're on an older build. We've been waiting for this final build to come out before we update the server. But I'm thinking maybe we might just want to try to run an update on the test server and then come back to be able to test some of these things. And you know what? Fuck it, let's do that. I'm gonna make some coffee too, and let's replay this community team building video and update the test server and update our clients just to make sure we're running on the latest version here so we can test some more stuff.
The average Rust player spends much of their life running from wildlife that wants to eat them, as well as other players who want to do the same. Are you tired of running? Do you want some place to belong? Somewhere safe, where you don't have to worry about the trials and dangers of normal Rust life? If your answer is yes, then the Rustify community team is the place for you. The Rustify community team is responsible for the planning, creating, and running of events. We've built and run multiple smaller events, such as gun game, themed building contests, and art contests, to name a few. We are also responsible for our larger events, such as D-Day, Invasion, our annual Halloween event, as well as our annual Charitable Rust, which has raised over $120,000 over just a 4-year period, all of which went to the designated charity for that year. We're looking for skilled plugin developers who have the desire to volunteer their time on plugin development, people who are able to create and edit maps for our events, as well as those who wish to create and edit videos, build and test the events themselves, and design in-game signs, skins, as well as the art which showcase the events themselves. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is a lot of work put into our events. They take months of planning, coordinating with team members and special guests such as streamers and developers, making sure we have the builds completed and tested thoroughly. We spend countless hours of our time volunteering to make these events the best they can be. So whether you have the skills and knowledge of plugin development, map editing, art, video recording and editing, or you just love to build amazing things, or in the process of learning any of these skills, the community team has a place for you. Join us. Help us make the future a better place.
All right. Alrighty.
We're good to talk now.
Cool. So we are just updating the test server. And yeah, just once again, a huge thank you to Putty and the whole community team and Toby and everyone for working on that video and putting that together. I love having little commercial breaks, and I'm normally not a fan of commercial breaks, but I like when we do it. But anyway, it's also a nice opportunity to take a little break, update the server, and we'll be back in here a little bit in a couple to test. Mainly, I want to test what the repairs of the minicopter is like. And yeah, for anyone tuning in, we just heard from Helk a couple minutes ago that the update is almost ready to go. And so hopefully we'll be seeing it here sooner rather than later. We will hang in there with you until we see any movement. But in the meantime, feel free to ask any questions, anything you want us to test out or cover. If you do have any questions, it's just at shadow_rustified, and she'll take a look at your questions and then ask them.
I actually have one right now. Where do you put the Windows mode in startup files?
Oh, that is in your launch options. So to get there, you want to actually right-click on Rust in your Steam library. And then in that properties that comes up, and then click on properties, that is. And then in that properties that comes up, that window, there's a button that says set launch options. And that's where you can put that window mode borderless.
Could probably show it very quickly, but there might not be any sound. If necessary,
okay,
because
cool.
I'm still waiting for the client to download the update, so I'll quickly show it.
Hello?
You are back.
Cool. So yeah, thanks for showing that, Hex, real quick. And that's how you do it if you don't want that full screen exclusive mode going. And let's see, I'm just going to see if there's any more tweets from Rust.
Will you get fly hack violation if someone cuts the palm tree while you're standing on it?
I doubt it, but maybe. Doesn't seem like you'd be moving far enough to get that big of a fly hack violation that it would be an issue.
I actually see a few people asking now about when we have some moderation application open.
Yeah, and it looks like that's going to open up towards the end of this month, beginning of next month. We are excited to bring on some more moderators. We're focusing first on the community team, but then we will switch over to moderator applications. And so keep an eye out for that as we get closer to next month. And I'll definitely post about it and let people know when that is the case.
Why did the Rustified public ban list get removed? I enjoyed watching the public shame list.
Well, we actually switched to a different ban system, which is also something we did to help improve performance on our servers. I don't know really if it had much of a huge impact, but it is a better system than what we were using anyway. And unfortunately, in that switch, though, we did lose the component of that public facing ban list. And when I really thought about it, I figured it's not that necessary to have that public list. Like, yeah, it basically is only used to shame people publicly, which isn't really a huge turn on for me anyway. So we just decided to forego it when we switched over to this new ban list. And so far, it seems to be working really well, but we did lose that public facing side of it.
Someone is saying, my opinion is that the workbenches are slacking, running around while making 5.56 ammo. Do we have a portable ammo press?
That would be interesting, but haven't heard anything about that. So let's see. Now that we're back in game, can we try to repair that helicopter, and let's turn it to morning too.
In the meantime, can we test how much fuel it burns on using the minicopter? We did that.
Yeah, we did test that already. It looks like it uses about one low grade per 2 seconds. So about 30-ish per minute of flight. Now that of course may change and it's not completely necessarily 100% accurate, but it looks like you're roughly going to run about 30 fuel per in-flight minute. And if you're wondering what's on that bottom right below the hydration bar, and that's the actual health of the minicopter itself when you're in it.
Cobalt, I drop you some pipes and springs and stuff.
So will you guys stay till the end of the update, even if it takes 10 plus hours?
Well, I don't know if it takes 10 plus hours if we'll stay for that. Like if they delay it till tomorrow, then I don't think so. But I would like to hang in there. I mean, we've been going for about 3 hours now. Hopefully it doesn't take another hour or two, but I want to hang in there until it's ready to go. I'm just making some more coffee over here. I'm excited to see this update live and in the wild. I can't wait to see how server performance is, and I can't wait to see what people do with all this awesome new stuff. So I'm excited to see this go.
Still can't repair the minicopter. I have like every resource and component in my inventory.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like
well.
it's increasing health.
Does the remote have durability?
It doesn't look like it.
Can you test if auto turrets can shoot people who are fully underwater now? It was broken last wipe.
We could maybe set that up, I suppose.
When's whip? When's whip? When's whip?
Good question. Hopefully soon.
Will you ever be able to craft a recycle?
I don't think so. That's come up before, and I think they want them to be just in the designated places, making it so that in order to recycle stuff, you actually have to take some risk. I'm pretty sure that's the intention of the recyclers. So from that standpoint, I don't necessarily think that they would make them craftable. But who knows? You know, other things have shifted before, so anything's possible.
Can we please ask Helg why there hasn't been a BP wipe for months?
Well, if you think about it, I mean, one of their goals on the roadmap still is to have a wipeless Rust. And so if you're thinking in line with what the developers' intentions are, they don't really want to wipe blueprints unless something fundamental in the game changes enough to warrant a blueprint wipe. And that's generally how it's been in the entire history of the game. You know, that doesn't necessarily speak to what the majority of players want, which is a fresh start and a fresh wipe. But you know, from the developer standpoint, they're moving more towards a wipeless system, and therefore don't really wipe blueprints unless a change in the game warrants it.
Someone is asking why I don't sit in the passenger seat instead of just standing here. Well, I'm looking at all the chats for about 9,000 people, so that's pretty hard.
Yeah, but you're doing a great job, Shadow, so thank you.
Well, I might be good at multitasking sometimes, but not that good.
Looks like it's still possible.
Will opening doors remotely cause the code log beep to play?
Good question. I'm trying to think if that. I think it does, but can you guys confirm that?
What was the question?
It's if you're using the RF transmitter, the radio frequency to open doors, does it still do the code lock beep?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's all the electric. It's just triggering a door opener electric thing, and that definitely makes the code lock sound.
Yeah.
Can you drive the minicopter into a cave?
Huh.
Yeah, but
I'm not gonna.
you'll probably
Yeah,
never get
I
it
mean,
out.
yeah, you might be able to, but I don't know why you would because you're not gonna have good luck getting out. And with regards to the cargo ship, you can land on the cargo ship technically, but it's not set up. And maybe this might have changed in the latest build, but what we were experiencing was if you put the minicopter on the cargo ship, it doesn't move relative to the cargo ship. It stays still as the cargo ship keeps going forward and quickly clips through and explodes in the cargo ship. So, a clean landing on the cargo ship is not uh, something that's accomplishable last we tested it. That said, you can go near the cargo ship and jump off to get on there, but then you're on the cargo ship and you lost your minicopter.
Can you also please show us the cargo destroying buildings?
I'm trying to think how we could easily test that one. That is a change that came in. So basically, if the cargo ship hits any building blocks, it will destroy said building blocks, and that's of course to stop exploiting and things of that nature. But to get the cargo ship to go right in front of a building, I'm not sure we're gonna go through the trouble of testing that. But yeah, there's the minicopter going into a cave. And I will be right back. I'm just gonna pour my coffee real quick.
Higgs, sorry. Koval, do you know when the hitboxes are going to be fixed for taller people won't die of MG?
Won't die of MG?
Yeah, that's what it says.
I don't know what they're getting at. As far as my understanding, the hitboxes are pretty decent.
Is it possible to destroy the nearby player detector without having building permission, and how easy is it?
All right, I'm back. Yeah, maybe we can shoot at the HBHF sensor and see what kind of damage is done.
I think we talked about it earlier, but do you mind testing if the boat glitch is still around? This was so OP, we wanted gone glitching a boat into a foundation/rock as to make a base in there.
So I thought, and no electrical components show the health on it, but if you shoot it enough, they'll disappear and they'll be destroyed.
Okay, so yeah, it is possible to destroy it, but not clear exactly how much damage each shot does.
I think for the door controller it was about 3 clips of explosive ammo, but I'm not sure about the other items.
Okay. And for anyone just tuning in, we're still waiting for the update to go live here. Helk did let us know that it's almost there, and that was, what was that, 20 minutes ago? Oh yeah, and we could check combat log. That's a good call with regards to the damage.
Are you able to do a loop with the helicopter?
No, I don't think that's possible. It doesn't seem like the steering is agile enough to do a flip or anything like that. That would be interesting to see aerobatic work with the minicopter, but I don't think it's that agile.
I'm gonna find out.
Yep, only one way to find out, right?
Still reading through so I don't take the same questions, hopefully.
Alrighty.
Doesn't look good.
I don't think I made it.
But I feel like they have put a maximum height that you can fly with. And yesterday we were
Yeah,
able to fly as high as we wanted to. Now that seems limited.
which is good because that's probably a thing that should have a limit on it.
Please tell me, is there blueprint wipe on Rustified servers?
Yes, Rustified servers will wipe blueprints when this update hits. It is not a forced blueprint wipe. However, Rustified servers are on a 2-month blueprint wipe schedule, and it has been 2 months since we wiped blueprints. So we are wiping today. Well, hopefully today. Hopefully the update hits today, but I think it's going to. And also that, of course, depends on your time zone because it might already be tomorrow for some of you.
Question. When you first created the name Rustified, did you think you would ever be able to make this far?
You know, I didn't really have a whole lot of goals when I created Rustified. And so, no, I didn't think it would get as big as it is today. I'm really, really thrilled with the team we've built and the community that we've built, and especially the awesome stuff that we can do with charitable Rust and things of that nature. And it's just really, really an honor to be doing what I'm doing, something I love doing. And I'm so thrilled with what we've got, and I can't wait to see this game continue to improve. And and to be there to keep doing what I'm doing with it. And with that, I got Helk messaging me. Let's see. Okay, cool. So good news, 15 minutes we hope. So hopefully 15 minutes till update. And he's confirming there's 3 Chinese New Year's items. And 1 second, I'm just going to respond. And also, he wants to address the people saying that the Chinese dragon mask is pay to win. That is incorrect because basically it's the same as the bandana and the wolf hat. And it's the same ingredients. So it's literally the same thing. It's just instead of 1 item, or instead of 2 items, it's 1 item. So it's not pay to win. You guys can put your pitchforks down, unlight your torches, and if you want to say it's one more slot, I guess you could make that argument. I'm not going to stand here and try to convince people one way or another. I just report on this stuff and wanted to explain to you what Helk was saying with that, and I think it's a valid point. But hey, you can still have your pitchforks and torches lit if you want. I mean, my logic isn't going to stop you, that's for sure. But the good news is, hopefully within 15 minutes, we got this update out. So that's the plan. That would mean at hopefully by half an hour past, we've got this. We got this update live and we can wipe the servers and get some fresh wipe action. And that's what I'm really excited about. In the meantime, though, you can feel free to ask more questions. I may do one more recap. Maybe not. We'll see.
Well, there's questions though.
Let's do them.
Okay. Are there plans for a new type of explosive when the detonator comes out? Will we use existing explosives? Or will we use existing? Yeah.
1 second, I'm just tweeting something and then I'll answer that. So yeah, so with regards to the detonator and if it has explosives, one thing with that to note is that the original name of the item was RF detonator, and it was just changed this week to RF transmitter. And that was changed because the detonator part was a little bit of a misnomer in that it didn't have any explosive things it was linked to. Now, I did talk to Helk when it came in, and I asked him, since it's detonator, are you planning on adding any actual explosives to that? And we kind of went back and forth on how chances are it wouldn't be used and it doesn't have much purpose. If people are raiding, they're raiding. There probably wouldn't be a ton of purpose. I mean, it could be fun to fuck with people to remotely detonate something like a mine when they're nearby. But the long and short of where it came to is that for now, it's not going to have any explosives attached to it. Potentially, though, in the future, that may be added. So that's the story with that.
Will opening doors remotely cause the code lock beep to play?
Yes, it does.
It sucks to be in EU when the wipe is so late. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. People want to get going and want to maximize the time they can play a fresh wipe, and the later it goes into the night, the less that is. The good news is it looks like this update is coming soon, so hopefully we'll just have another 10-15 minutes and we can actually update the servers and get this wipe going.
Actually, I thought of a question right now. Do you think they will ever change it to a Friday, like so people have the weekend after?
You know, I think originally were playing with that, but and this was back when they switched to weekly wipes. If I think back to when I first started Rustified, and this was shit almost 5 years ago now, and Gary was doing the bulk of the development. He would just release updates every single day, and it was just like the Wild West. It was pretty awesome actually because you'd see like new stuff. I mean, the game was in such a state, like there was so many things wrong with it and so many things missing, but it was really fun to see new stuff added every day. And then they switched to weekly updates. And when they did that, they decided to do Thursday because that would leave room on Friday to release bug fixes that might be needed, as often was the case. And as opposed to if they released it Friday and then everyone went home for the weekend, things might be broken all weekend, or the devs might have to work through the weekend, whereas otherwise they wouldn't have. And so from that standpoint, I think that logic, even though we've switched from a weekly update to a monthly update, I think that logic still is sound. And therefore, I don't think we'll switch to a Friday update schedule anytime soon. It's probably going to stick with Thursday.
With the Unity update, can we pre-download Unity engine on its own before the Rust update?
No, that's not really how it works. Basically, one of the reasons that we have to wait for the builds to compile is because that's actually compiling all the changes in the game in conjunction with Unity. And so Rust is kind of a standalone thing. It doesn't have like a version of Unity that executes in parallel with Rust as in two separate processes. It's actually one and the same. Unity is just built into the executable of Rust itself. And therefore, you can't really have one without the other. Just doesn't really work that way.
Ask Helg to add an heli icon to the in-game map, just like we have for the Chinook and the cargo ship.
Oh, for the attack helicopter? Maybe.
Yeah, I think on the map, when you press G, you can see it on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That definitely wouldn't be the case for all the mini copters coming in. That's for damn sure. But yeah, maybe a thing for the attack helicopter could be a good add. I don't know. I might ask him if it comes up, but I generally don't flood Helk with suggestions or random thoughts.
So do you think the devs will ever going to make nighttime not as dark?
No, I'm pretty sure that it's where they want it to be. Although throughout the different iterations of Rust, we have seen nighttime change in the past. So I wouldn't be shocked if it is shifted at some point in the future, but I don't think it's the general consensus of the developers that nighttime is too dark. I think it's really where they want it to be. And as it stands, there's like a day-night cycle of 30 days. It's not just the time of day, but you'll also notice the moon is out in different forms on certain days, more so than other days. And subsequently, sometimes nighttime isn't as dark as it is other times. And I think that's the way they want it. So I haven't heard anything about anything changing with that. However, potentially when they add weather or things of that nature, it might be possible that they tweak some of the brightness settings of night as well.
Someone is crying his eyes out saying, please add more EU Trio server VIP slots. I'll do anything.
Well, we have a very limited number of slots per server, and Trio is a very in-demand server. So we add more slots as people cancel or fail to renew their slots, and so we will do that. Um, but yeah, EU Trio is really in demand. One thing that we will be looking at doing sometime over the coming months is maybe adding more Trio servers, because those do seem to be a very, very popular and wanted thing. And so we'll try to expand to meet demand, if you know what I mean.
Will cameras for raid defense be coming into Rust?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, will cameras for raid defense be coming into Rust?
Yeah, if you look at the roadmap, actually, there is under online rating balance, they are not only limiting the usefulness of honeycombing, but encouraging the use of traps and adding raid notifications in the form of CCTV cameras. And so it does look like in that body of work, we will see some camera ability being added. And that is under the next category, which isn't quite being worked on yet, but I think we could see in the next couple of months come into the game.
One sec. Can you please talk about whitelist Rust, why they want to do it and why it might look like?
Ooh, I will in a second, but I just got a message. I just saw a message from Alistair, and here's what it says. Unfortunately, we just had another build fail to upload to Steam. This resets us back another hour and 15 minutes build time. We're currently trying some workaround to speed this up.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, that's the status right now. Unfortunately, it looks like the build failed to upload. Hopefully, they can find a workaround to speed it up, but we may have to wait another hour and 15 minutes to see. So I'm intending that they figure out a workaround for it, and we can get that shit uploaded to Steam, and we can get this update going, because I'm ready for it. I think we all are. But as always, there's no set time for these updates to hit, and it's really just when it's ready. And unfortunately, sometimes that's later than we would like it to be. And it seems like that is the case this week. So we'll hang in there with you and see if anything changes. Let's all intend that they do find a workaround and we can get this out. They can get it out sooner than an hour and 15 minutes, but we will see.
So back to the question about wipeless Rust.
Yes, so wipeless Rust. This is actually something that that I've spoken with Helk about, and it was always kind of the dream. They even say it on the roadmap when you look at it. Where is it? They refer to it as the Holy Grail, and as it currently stands, it's still on the roadmap, and it's going to be a system that allows top-level players to sacrifice their progress for a permanent reward and start over with this advantage. Graduating to this level should be done with groups of players periodically, so it feels like a fresh wipe each time it happens. So it really looks like they're planning on adding some sort of system in that allows people to do it on occasion. But it does seem like the majority of the community, and I'm aligned with this, likes the fresh wipe action. And that's like arguably the best time to play when everyone's starting completely fresh. And so the question is will this wipeless rust, ruin that? And also, will any servers even follow it, or will they still choose to do full wipes in the interest of bringing on players? And I think that remains to be seen. My personal opinion is I still think the best time to play Rust is after a fresh wipe. And it's hard to envision how that would change uh, with regards to just some additions or changes to gameplay. So we will see how they do that. I know Helk was already thinking, like, he is definitely aware that most of the players like the wipes in Rust, and I think he might accept that as the actuality and not go for the wipeless Rust, but it is really hard to say at this point and will remain to be seen.
Does Gary still work on Rust?
Very rarely. Gary will occasionally do some miscellaneous fixes to things, generally with more underlying systems like the skins or things of that nature. But for the most part, Gary is focusing on other projects at the moment, and Helk is the main project lead on Rust.
Is it possible to cut down new type of trees?
Yep, the new trees are cut downable.
Oh, and thank you again for bits and subs and all.
Yeah, a huge thank you for everyone for all the support. Once again, we're not the developers. I know there's a lot of people who are not so happy at the developers right now, given the time it is and the patch time. But yeah, we are just fans of the game, and we're an independent operation, and we rely on the support of the community to survive. So we do really appreciate all the support in the form of Twitches and or uh, subscriptions and bits, and also our lovely VIPs as well. All the way around, just a huge thank you to everyone for the ongoing support, because that's what allows us to keep doing what we're doing.
Can you show the new military tunnels again? And did they change? Oh, they did change. And the lighting is very different and better.
Yeah, and we can go to the military tunnels again. And yeah, it does look like the lighting is different. It's a little brighter, and there are some shifts to it. So
Is there a node spawn fix for normal servers this update?
I'm not sure if that was addressed. I know I brought that up to Alistair a couple weeks ago, and I think he was going to look into it, but I have not heard if that was addressed or not.
So I see still a lot of questions about the cost for the dragon mask.
Yeah, and it looks like the dragon mask costs 100 wood, 10 cloth, and 1 wolf skull. So that is what the that mask is going to run you once you purchase it on the item store, and that's one of 3 Chinese New Year items that came in. We got the dragon mask, we got the dragon door knocker, and we got that little lantern thing, which runs on low grade fuel.
thank you guys for having these updates. Without them, we would have no clue what time to expect the wipe and so on.
Cool, you're very welcome, and happy to do it. I do love it when these are a little shorter. Uh, we all do wish the update would come out sooner, but I am happy, and we are happy to hang in there with you and report on what the status of it is. And still, I'm keeping the intention that they figure out how to get a workaround so that we don't have to wait another hour for it to upload to Steam. But we will keep you posted.
Could you maybe demonstrate a crash landing with the new personal copter?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm sure we could do that. Hex has done that a couple times unintentionally, so I'm sure he could intentionally do it.
I did it all the time when I tried. I suck at that one.
Do you want me to just plain crash it or do a crash landing? Those are two different things.
Let's do both. Let's come down hard and then we can just run it into something real fast. It really does go a pretty decent speed. Like, this allows you to get around the map in way faster than anything else before.
How many genders are available for character selection in Rust?
Well, there is no character selection. That selection happens just based on when you buy the game. And as Gary put it, when the female model came in, and people asked, are we ever going to be able to select our gender and customize our characters? His answer was that when you're born, you don't select your gender and your attributes, so why should you in Rust? And I think that's kind of a mainstay of the game now, and I don't expect that to ever change. But there is the male and female characters, and in this day we live in, maybe some people identify as something else while they're playing, and that's totally on them to do. But yeah, genetically speaking, we got male and female characters in Rust.
Oh, can you also turn off God mode so we can see what damage it does when you crash?
Sure.
There's so many of the same questions.
Yeah, that's the new challenge to everyone, is ask a question that hasn't been asked yet.
Can you show off the Chinese knocker?
Taken out of context, that. But yeah, the door knocker, the dragon door knocker, sure, we can show that off a little bit. And no, it does not like add any extra health to the door or anything like that.
It's interesting.
From what we've seen.
The entire chopper exploded, but I didn't take any damage, and I'm not in God mode either.
Huh. That's pretty lucky.
Rustified, do you have big ears?
Ears?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but
Just to ask something different that wasn't yet, so.
that is a question that hasn't been asked yet, so you got us there.
Yeah. Oh, and how did you start Rustified and the teaming with Rust? Don't get him started on that.
No, yeah, that's basically I had run Counter-Strike source servers way back in the day, and I ran a community around that, and then I gave that up to like go find a real job and all that good stuff. And it was always a missing for me running online communities and just around video games, because that's been a big part of my life. And so I was looking for a new one, and it was right after Legacy came out, like a couple months, and I found it, and I just started playing Legacy and was like, wow, this is a really unique experience and really something cool. And I started a Legacy server, but this was after everything was already way saturated, and we never got more than 20, 30 people in there. But then when Experimental came out, we were one of the first people to start a server. And this is when Gary was releasing updates multiple times a day that required the server to be updated, and hardly anyone was playing it. Most people were playing Legacy still. But everyone would ask after an update came, like, what came in the update? What changed? And so from that, I just started posting blogs on the site, and it kind of just all built from there. And that was like 5 years ago. And I'm really thrilled with how everything's come along, and how much we've grown, and how much the game and the community as a whole has grown. And I can't wait to see where it goes from here, because I still see a very bright future for Rust and for development. If you look at the roadmap, there's a great amount of things still to come in the game, and a lot of development to do. And that, coupled with custom maps and modding and everything, I think this game has a very bright future and a long future ahead of it. And I am excited to be a part of that.
Are you looking for a specific kind of people to work with you, or would you take any geeky or nerdy kind of person?
Well, we're basically just looking for people on the community team who are over 18, and specifically who are interested in plugin development, who are interested in video editing and creation, building of custom maps, or building on the server itself, and all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, if you can do that, or you're just interested in learning about that and you want to help with creating community events, including Charitable Rust, then I think you'd be a great candidate for joining the Rustified team. And yeah, I encourage you to go apply at rustified.com/apply.
Question for you, Bugs. Would you ever consider to eat another of Hilk's pickles?
You know, I think my days of eating Helk's pickles are behind me. And I think I learned my lesson in that. Not so much because the pickle itself was so bad. My main distress came in how concerned Helk was that I was going to get botulism from his pickles, because I didn't think much of it, but he had me go as far as to put in writing that I wasn't going to sue him if I if I died from botulism by eating his pickles. So that worried me a little bit and had me think, well, maybe I'm not going to make a habit of this. But actually, the pickle wasn't too bad. I mean, it quite frankly tasted like a kind of like a cucumber, which is really, isn't that what a pickle really is when you think about it?
Can you C4/rocket raid from the heli?
Yes.
Yes, you can. And if we're looking at the commits here, there was a commit just a minute ago, which is a merge from main to the water 4 branch. Not to fear with that commit, that's not going to cause another wait for a build to come, because that's just dealing with the water 4 branch. And that was a whole body of work that got merged in briefly the other day, but then was removed due to some issues with buoyancy in the boats and things of that nature. But it basically adds waves and stuff like that, and some new dynamics to water. But when we see something that says merge from main onto another branch, that's basically just the developer, in this case Diago, getting his water 4 branch up to date with all the most recent changes to main to make sure there's no conflicts or things that need to be accounted for. So that's what that is, and it's not something that is going to necessarily delay the launch of this update.
Are they ever going to add peaceful mode?
Peaceful mode. I don't really know what that would be. If you're referring to just like a PvE only mode where people can't hurt each other, I believe that is possible. I remember there was a setting, a PvE setting you could set. I'm not even sure if that's still in the game because I haven't looked into it in literally years, but PvE servers are a thing that have been around. So whether or not that's going to be like a main gameplay mode, I don't really think so because this game is so PvP oriented, and I don't really see that shifting at any point.
Have you tested what happens when two copters collide in midair, or a copter and a hot air balloon?
Just kind of bounce
Uh,
off each other.
yeah, and it does some damage, right? But doesn't necessarily
Yeah, it
ruin
depends
it.
on how hard you hit, but yes.
Is guitar script allowed in Rust?
Is I'm sorry, what allowed in Rust?
The guitar script allowed in Rust?
Oh, the guitar script. Yeah, it is technically. I don't think you're going to get banned by EAC for that. But some server owners are different, and they may ban for that. At Rustified, we don't ban for guitar scripting because, I mean, it's just like allowing you to play a song, right? Um, but yeah, that may vary from server to server.
Can you take the helicopter, no, the minicopter through a garage door and double door?
Yeah, you can drive the minicopter when it's on the ground by holding the crouch or duck key. And through that, you can then drive it through the garage door to park it.
Ace is asking, isn't it past your bedtime, Shadow, along with bugs? Yeah, it's getting late.
Well, but yeah, we're hanging in there because it looks like this update is hopefully coming soon. We we did hear a 15-minute estimate, but then shortly after that, it looks like the upload to Steam failed, unfortunately, which is something that is actually out of the control of the devs. So they're doing everything they can to get this update live. And trust me, they want to get it live just as much as you guys do. I know that might not sound correct, but it really is. They do want to get this shit live as quick as possible. But unfortunately, that failed to upload to Steam caused a delay, which could be upwards of an hour and 15 minutes. But they were looking for workarounds to that to be able to get it out sooner. We haven't heard yet about any specific workarounds, but I am hoping that that they've got one. Oh, and actually, never mind. I did just hear that a workaround seems to have worked. So we've got a working workaround that
Nice.
worked. So hopefully, oh, a smile just came to my face at the idea of this update coming out shortly. Hopefully, we will see it working soon.
Woohoo. Are you able to drive with the minicopter underwater?
No.
That's a no, right? Yeah.
Wrong button, sorry. Fishing rod in the near future.
Yeah, I think at some point the fishing rod is going to come in. Man, when I think about concept limbo, the fishing rod is the first thing that comes to mind because we first saw the concept of fishing, man, what was it? It had to be like 4 years ago. And then about like I guess 2 years ago, we actually saw the fishing rod make its way into the game in a spawnable sense. You can actually spawn a rod and you can hold it in front of you. It doesn't do anything, but you can, if you're an admin, spawn it in. And since then, we haven't seen anything else with it. So I do think fishing will make its way in. Maybe that'll be added when we see the farming 3.0 stuff, because you think fishing, farming, it's kind of sort of a similar thing. But as far as when that's specifically going to happen, your guess is as good as mine. I do look forward to it, though, because I've wanted to go out on a boat and just fish as the sun rises. You know, I've wanted to do that for a long time. Call me a filthy role player, call me what you will, but I just think that would be a nice, peaceful activity to do before someone shoots you in the face from the shore. I also can't wait for horse riding as well, which does look like that will be arriving at some point, but is another one of those things that has been in concept limbo for ages now.
Do auto turrets need electricity this update?
Nope, nothing shifted with auto turrets that I have seen.
And what about metal arrows?
What about metal arrows?
If they're in or coming?
We haven't seen any changes to arrows this update.
Okay, so one is saying, okay, very important question. Is the helicopter coming out this wipe?
The minicopter is coming in this wipe, and you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do a recap here. It's been how long? We've been live for almost 4 hours now. So I'm going to do a recap as we're waiting. And my intention is that this update hits while I'm in the middle of the recap. So I got to stop the recap and I can't even finish it because we got the server update hit. But let's see. In the meantime, let's do a little recap. So what do we got coming in this update? We've got the minicopter has been added. So this is a new vehicle, the newest vehicle to grace the skies of Rust. It's a 2-seater helicopter that runs on low-grade fuel. Basically, the deal with these guys is you're going to find them around the map near roads and airfields. There's about 12 to 18 that spawn at any given time on a 4K map, which is the default map size. You steer with a mix of your mouse and the WASD controls. W goes up, S goes down, and you point with your mouse to get around. You should watch out because SAM sites do target them. It takes about 6 direct hits from a SAM site to destroy a minicopter. And you should also note that the missile speed has been increased on SAM sites. And so they'll come at you quicker, harder to dodge. As far as decay is concerned, these minicopters will lose health over time, similar to a rowboat when it's left out. Also similar to the rowboat, if you get the minicopter inside with a roof over its head, that decay stops. So you can park these things. You can also drive the minicopter while it's on the ground. Basically, if you hold the duck or crouch key, you can use WASD to steer the thing around and drive it using the wheels on the ground. So you can land it and then drive it through a garage door and park the thing, which is pretty damn cool. When it comes to fuel consumption, it looks to use about 30 low-grade fuel per minute of flight. So every 2 seconds, you're going to burn through 1 low-grade, it looks like, roughly. Now, we also have radio frequency devices have been added. This is a family of new devices that will allow you to communicate with electrical items over great distances. They operate on a frequency between 1 and 999. you choose the frequency of the device and then can send radio signals to and fro things using a receiver. The RF receiver is a deployable that you set to a frequency and then listens in for when a signal is sent on that frequency and then sends out an electrical signal to whatever you want to say, open a door, turn on a light, what have you. There's then the RF transmitter. This was previously known as the RF detonator. That was a bit of a misnomer because there's no radio frequency explosives in the game yet. So Helk did change it to an RF transmitter. And this is a handheld switch that basically communicates with receivers or pagers on the same frequency. You hold the trigger down to activate, let go to deactivate. This works from anywhere on the map instantaneously, and there's no limit on how many receivers it goes to. It's basically, if it's on that frequency, it will receive it. Then there's the RF broadcaster, which is similar to the transmitter, except instead of being handheld, this is a deployable device that sends out a radio signal on the frequency it's set to. And when that happens, it basically you hook up electricity to this, and when electrical current is received, it'll then broadcast out on that frequency that it's set to. Finally, we have the pager, which is a handy little device that makes noise or vibrates if set to silent when it receives a signal on the frequency it's set to. Now, to go with these radio frequency devices, we also have the HBHF sensor has been added. This stands for heartbeat, breathing, humidity, and footstep sensor. And basically what this does is gets triggered whenever anyone in direct line of sight within 20 meters is around. And this can be configured with the hammer to basically allow it to only be triggered when authorized users show up or when unauthorized people show up. So this can be used to warn of intruders outside a base, or it can be used to improve your quality of life for you and your teammates inside a base by just triggering certain things like a light going on or a door opening when it detects an authorized user around. Next, we have a RAND switch. This is the random switch, which does pretty much what you would expect. When current runs through it, it randomly chooses between true or false, allowing you to do various things like open this door or open that door at random. We also have the audio alarm. This is like a spooky speaker, but makes a noise when electricity flows to it. Used in conjunction with the HBHF sensor, it could be a handy tool for alerting audibly when intruders are around. We also have new lights, which are the flasher light and the siren light. Basically, the flasher light is a blue light, pulses 3 times every couple seconds when turned on, and the siren light is a red light which spins in 360 degrees. And both of these are hooked up to electricity, can be used in conjunction with the other things to, say, warn you when something happens, or used as a landing pad for your nifty new minicopter, you name it. These things will light it. We also have new palm trees. So the arid biome is going to be looking a little different and a little nicer. This update, basically, it's several new types of palm trees and bushes. They're large. They're sometimes oddly angled. They sway when the mini copter's flying nearby, and they look pretty damn cool. Doesn't really change anything with gathering rates or anything like that. It's mainly just a visual shift, but it does look pretty cool. In the form of in the same vein of visual shifts, we have the new hemp models. And this is basically just a nice looking version of the hemp model. Doesn't really change anything with hemp, but it does look nice. And then we also have, and I'm probably most excited about this, is performance improvements. The team at Facepunch has prioritized improving performance not only on the client, but also on the server end. They've done this through a variety of different things like garbage collection, buffering, and turret triggers, and all this stuff. I'm thinking the dev blog will probably have some more specifics on these performance gains, but the main takeaway is that performance should be better on both the client and the server end. And Helk even told me the other week that he improved server performance by upwards of 30% or more, which is pretty significant. And we can't wait to see it running live on these servers after this update comes out. Now, in conjunction with that, there's a new version of Unity in play. Unity, which is the underlying engine of the game, received an update, and Facepunch applied that update to Rust. And with that, we are seeing some fixes and optimizations just to the underlying engine that runs the game. So that's going to be a great supplement to the performance improvements that were already baked in. We also have 3 Chinese New Year items: the Dragon Mask, the Dragon Door Knocker, and the Lantern. Those are available for purchase on the Steam item store. A lot of people are crying about pay to win with the Dragon Mask because it does have extra projectile protection. The thing to note with that is you can add a bandana to the wolf headdress, and then the protection is the same. It is a valid point that that takes 2 slots, whereas this takes 1 slot. So, you can choose how much you want that to upset you or not upset you. I personally don't think it's a huge deal, but hey, that's just me. But those Chinese items are available on the item store to purchase this week. And nice. We just heard from Alistair that the patch is incoming. Fuck yeah. Fuck yes. Patch incoming right now. Woo. Okay. So other stuff, and then hopefully this patch is live. Full screen exclusive mode is enabled by default. So this adds some potential benefits, but also some cons. In the benefit column, it can improve performance and lower stutters. But in the con column, it can fuck up your alt tabbing and multitasking. So the good news is if you want to disable this, you can. It is done through right-clicking on Rust, going to properties, and then setting your launch options. You can add the command -window-mode borderless. And if you want to see that command, go to rustfi.com, scroll down to the other stuff heading, and you can see it there. And that will allow you to turn off that full screen exclusive mode by default. We've also got the memory cell now has a toggle input. Cargo ship destroys building blocks and encounters. And then finally, the oil rig monument did not make it in. So that just wasn't ready. It looked like it was, but it didn't quite make it in, which I'm A-okay with because it was going to have extra AI on it. And the AI is a big source of overhead in the game. And so adding extra overhead, not necessarily ideal when we're looking for performance improvements. So not sure exactly why that didn't make it in, but it didn't make it in. But work has started on the giant excavator monument as well. And so we should be seeing those come in the next month or two. And then finally, the final numbers for Charitable Rust 2018 came in. We raised $62,000 for Charity Water. That is including over $10,000 in donations on the day of, and then over $50,000 in skin sales. So a huge thank you to everyone who participated. That is ginormous. That is literally going to bring fresh water to thousands of people and upwards of 6 different individual communities of people that did not previously have access to fresh water. I really let that sink in. That is a huge impact on the lives of thousands of people that we accomplished through this amazing event. And we couldn't have done it without everyone's help, and we especially couldn't have done it without the help of Facepunch and the support of Facepunch in letting us do the skin sales and having 100% of the proceeds go to this amazing cause. And for the 3rd year in a row, Facepunch took Steam's cut, which is 30% of those skin sales, and they compensated for that out of their own coffers, out of their own pocket. And so just a huge thank you to Facepunch for that. And oh fuck, server update is out. I'm gonna click the button. Server update is live. Here we go. Alrighty. It is go time. Server update is live. Then we should see the dev blog go out here shortly. And after that, the client update will hit and we can say that this update is live.
So more questions?
Yeah, let's do it while we're waiting for this to officially go off.
Okay. So I'm wondering what relation you have to Face Punch. Is it more of a Face Punch exist and you guys exist and you communicate?
Yeah, we don't have any official ties to Facepunch. We're not sponsored by them. We're not employees of them. Basically, over the years, as I've done reporting on the game, I've developed a relationship with the developers at Facepunch and lines of communication with them. And we've created this kind of symbiotic relationship. And through that, Gary offered our servers official access on the official list, which I gladly accepted. And we were the first community servers to be added to the official list due to our contributions to the community. And it's just kind of blossomed and grown from there. And so we don't have any official affiliation with them, but we do work closely with them to report on the news and help them when, they need help figuring stuff out or bug fixes and all that good stuff.
Is Rust on console?
Rust is not on console yet. However, that is in the plans for the future. Exactly when that will be done and how that's coming along is up in the air. It's not necessarily public knowledge or anything like that, but it has been shared by Facepunch in the past that console is planned for Rust.
Rustified, by the way, today is technically Rust's birthday since it was officially released on February 8th, 2018.
Holy shit, yeah, this is the 1 year anniversary of coming out of early access. That is awesome. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't even realize that.
There's, please make a duo server. I don't have a third friend.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you can find one. But in the meantime, we're going to keep the trio servers. And we don't really have plans for solo or dual only servers. However, anything's possible in the future. But before that, we're definitely going to want to open more trio servers because there's a high demand for that.
So what about AU servers?
AU servers, like Australian servers?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably open more AU servers in the future. That region has been a little slow to grow, but in the past couple of months, it definitely has been growing more. And we're happy to provide servers. I'm also looking at other locations in the world to open servers because there are definitely a lot more regions that could benefit from having a server. So we're always looking at that. But yeah, no word specifically on a new AU server anytime soon, but it's very possible at some point in the future.
People say white main, please.
Yep, we
Can't
are
do
working
that
on
right
it.
now.
The server update is live, and given the delay in this, we are actually taking some of our servers down to have the update be ready on them as soon as the client update comes out. So we're working on it, and hopefully that client update is going to hit any moment now.
Can Minicopter do water pickups?
If you're very careful with it, you very well might be able to pick up someone and have someone mount from the water. I don't think we've tested that exactly, but based on what we've seen, I think that would be possible. Hex, do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that that would be possible. Definitely if they're on one of those floating piles, I think that's possible.
Yeah.
But from the water, I'm not entirely sure.
Cool. Yeah.
I saw the guy flying high in the sky with the chopper, and the wind is still blowing on the ground. Are you gonna fix that?
Well, I'm not personally going to fix that, but that's because I'm not a developer of the game. The devs might fix it though. That might be something that just uh, just wasn't necessarily accounted for yet, but very well might be changed in the near future.
Can you pick up coconuts from the palms?
No, unfortunately, there's no coconuts in the palms that we've seen.
Or bananas?
Yeah, but maybe in the future. I know berry picking is planned. I know, we could see some things like that in the future. But no, at the moment, these new palm trees are purely aesthetic changes.
When
And
will
for
you
anyone
add?
just, ooh, sorry, I was just going to say, for anyone just tuning in, the server update is live. The dev blog and client are still pending. And so that, generally speaking, we'll see the dev blog hit and then the client update hit. And it looks like that could happen any minute now. So, and then at that point, we're going to wipe the servers. We do have a BP wipe on Rustified servers, no official force blueprint wipe, but it is a force map wipe on all servers. And we'll get our servers back up as soon as motherfucking possible so that everyone can enjoy this fresh wipe action.
Do you know if the devs are going to fix the hitboxes for taller players?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. And I know there is some discrepancies between tall players and short players, but I haven't heard anything from the devs specifically about changing anything with regards to hitboxes for that. So that's a big I don't know.
Will you ever make a trio long server?
Anything's possible, but I think most likely what we're going to see before then is just a trio 2 in EU and US, and it's probably still going to be the same setup that we currently have because that tends to be, that appears to be pretty popular. But as performance increases, we might shift more things to um, a longer wipe cycle, and that very well could include trio servers at some point in the future.
Can you tell us where to look to fix the windowed exclusive mode again, please?
Sure, that's on rustified.com. Scroll down on the post today to the other things section, and the first bullet point on there has that window mode borderless command right there, and that should work.
Should we expect any new Australian servers in the near future? We answered that actually.
Yeah, and the answer is possibly.
So will the lag stop after new update on Rustified servers?
I sure hope so. And one thing that we have seen is a lot of optimizations around performance, both on the client and the server end this month. We saw the devs really prioritizing that, which I'm so grateful for. And I can't wait to see how that, impacts performance on a server running with several hundred people and everything like that. But that coupled with the Unity update, which also includes a lot of optimizations and improvements, I think performance all the way around should be a lot better after this update hits.
I keep getting private messages with, can you please do an AK recoil spray?
Yeah, nothing has
I got
changed with
like
the AK
100 messages
recoil.
of those today.
Yeah. Yeah, none of that has changed. So really, there's no point in doing it.
When are they going to buff the medkits?
I haven't heard anything specifically about that. So I don't know if ever, but it's possible.
Can we increase Happy's population, please?
Yeah, I am considering that after the update, and we might increase that.
Are there any news on the Brazilian server?
That's one that, we've definitely wanted to do for a while. And I know there's a huge following in Latin America and everything like that for Rust. The problem that we've run into every time is finding a server that has good enough DDoS protection at a reasonable rate. And we just haven't come across that yet. I'd love to see if like OVH opens a data center in Brazil or something like that, we'll be good to go. But until then, we can't really open because I'm not going to just open a server that's going to be able to be taken down by some shitty little UDP flood every 15 minutes because that's exactly what would happen. And so, yeah, that's really just a case of we need the hosting infrastructure to be created there. And then I'd love to open Rustified BR.
Do you need to reopen Steam for the update? I guess restart
Uh,
Steam?
That can help sometimes. The other thing you can do is start the verify integrity of local game cache through properties. That can do it as well. You don't have to do the whole process. You can just cancel it as soon as it starts because the first thing it does is ping Steam for an update. But the client update isn't out, so there's no point in doing that quite yet.
Are they ever going to add a prone feature?
I think that would be really cool. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they added a prone feature. In fact, I want to say there might have been some animations early on that had a prone feature, but God, that's got to be going back like 4 years or something at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if they add it, but I haven't heard anything specifically about it in a long time.
The lag on large servers was caused by EAC log becoming huge over short time. Now the log wipes every server launch.
Yeah, that it does look like that was definitely a potential source of negative performance. And we did notice an improvement when we just manually cleared out those EAC logs. And that was part of it. Ooh, Helga's telling me it's all out.
Wipe hype.
All right, awesome, everybody. Okay, so client update is out. Let's see. Dev blog is out. The air power update. I'm going to tweet about it. And yeah, with that, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for sticking in here with us. We are on hour 4, but the update is live. So let's go get this. We're already restarting the servers and updating them. I'm going to go and help my systems team on doing that. We are wiping blueprints. We are wiping maps. Servers will be up again very shortly. Go update your clients. Go check out the dev blog. Go check out the new stuff on the item store. And thank you everyone for tuning in and your ongoing support. And we are going to go get all this shit going. We will be back next week, as always. And with that, this is Bugs signing off. Have an awesome week and an awesome wipe.
The average Rust player spends much of their life running from wildlife that wants to eat them, as well as other players who want to do the same. Are you tired of running? Do you want some place to belong? Somewhere safe, where you don't have to worry about the trials and dangers of normal Rust life? If your answer is yes, then the Rustify community team is the place for you. The Rustify community team is responsible for the planning, creating, and running of events. We've built and run multiple smaller events, such as gun game, themed building contests, and art contests, to name a few. We are also responsible for our larger events, such as D-Day, Invasion, our annual Halloween event, as well as our annual Charitable Rust, which has raised over $120,000 over just a 4-year period, all of which went to the designated charity for that year. We're looking for skilled plugin developers who have the desire to volunteer their time on plugin development, people who are able to create and edit maps for our events, as well as those who wish to create and edit videos, build and test the events themselves, and design in-game signs, skins, as well as the art which showcase the events themselves. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There is a lot of work put into our events. They take months of planning, coordinating with team members and special guests such as streamers and developers, making sure we have the builds completed and tested thoroughly. We spend countless hours of our time volunteering to make these events the best they can be. So whether you have the skills and knowledge of plugin development, map editing, art, video recording and editing, or you just love to build amazing things, or in the process of learning any of these skills, the community team has a place for you. Join us. Help us make the future a better place.